Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2. We've got 6 rounds of Swiss action all this weekend for everybody to enjoy. But before we get into all of that, I am Fish. Joining alongside me is Nerdy Bird. And what better way to start off this Minor, Nerdy, than telling people what Calling All Heroes is about? And what better luck for me than to be paired with someone who's participated in Calling All Heroes? So why don't you break it down for everybody? What are we looking at here with the Calling All Heroes just in general and this Unite Minor 2?
So Calling All Heroes is a gender-inclusive program for underrepresented and marginalized genders to have the opportunity to come forth, compete, and show off their skills. Of course, they are also competing for the opportunity to grab that bag, so to speak, as every single one of these tournaments, whether it be a major or a minor, does have cash prizes, so it's always nice to walk away with some cash money. Additionally, players are awarded what are known as circuit points, and those are based off of their placement within the majors and minors. They're individually awarded to the players, and then the top 5 players on each team. Those players' circuit points will conjoin in one sum to be the calculated total for a team's circuit points to officially determine their placements later on in the entire Calling All Heroes series. With that being said, we have some returning players that are going to be showing up today. They have shifted teams around, and they're playing for new teams, new organizations, and some teams are returning with the exact same roster, so hopefully they're able to change up the gameplay a little bit, lest they might have been scouted out and their weaknesses be a little more known this time around.
Yeah, that throws a whole different wrench in it when you can, as you pointed out, you can switch teams. You don't really cost your team. You actually maybe sometimes even benefit your team. So I think there's a lot of things people are going to have to be watching out for, as you mentioned. But in case you need more of a breakdown here, we can take a look at what the format is going to be for our Calling All Heroes Minor 2. Today, we will have the first 3 rounds of our Swiss stage. Tomorrow, we will have rounds 4 and 5 with the top 8 advancing to the playoffs. And then, as Nerdy said, there is a ton of pricing, that $5,000 bag and the circuit points as well that they mentioned. That is all up for grabs for the teams. But you can't focus on the playoffs. You can't focus on anything else. You got to focus on what's in front of you right now. That is round 1 Swiss stage. 3 games. And why don't you break us through, Nerdy, what the map format and what the maps that are available are going to be?
Yeah, so it is a best of 3, first to 2, so to speak. And of course, as tradition, we always start out on control. Then it's going to move to escort and then hybrid. In the chance that we do see any sort of tiebreakers necessary, we can then move on to flashpoint and push to be our tie-breaking maps. So you can see that for the push maps here in our first round is going to be Coliseum. Control points are really going to set the pace out for this entire series, because flashpoint is just an extremely fast version of control. So if we see a team dominate on control points in the very beginning of these series, most likely they'll be successful on flashpoint as well.
Yeah, you just mentioned the new hero that came out. What do you think Iari brings to the gameplay? What do you think we should be looking out for if somebody's going to lock in Iari for the first time in the Calling All Heroes Minor? I don't think they're available the first time. So what should we be watching out for with that support in particular?
So with that support, you definitely need to be checking your angles, because the pylon basically allows an Iari player to set that up for their core unit and walk away, or set it up for someone who's currently off-angling, and then that Iari can stay with their core unit, or the Iari, because of the movement abilities that you get, is able to also off-angle, create pressure, and can almost one-shot most people that are within that 30-meter range before the damage drop-off begins. If they've taken just a little bit of tickle damage, they're able to pressure out a lot of flankers. So flankers need to make sure that they are moderating how much time they're trying to spend in the fight, how much time they're flanking, and making sure that they're pulling attention away, that they're not overstaying their welcome, because in the long, drawn-out one-on-ones, Iari has a lot of excess because they can, be a little bit selfish with their pylon, drop it down, and then just engage in the one-on-one and say, okay, I have healing, you don't. Best of luck, my friends.
It's no battle mercy, but anytime the support's winning a 1v1, I'm here for that, because the support players, they never get glory. They're always, I need more healing, I need more healing, I need more healing, so it's always nice when they finally get to maybe have a little bit of a pop-off moment there. But as we said, we are going to start with Swiss round 1. We're going to have Kunaichi taking on Demeter in our first game here. What do you expect from these players on both sides in game? So maybe some mistakes, or do you think these players are going to be locked in and ready to go from the moment?
Pretty well balanced when it comes.
And we are back here with the Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2. Again, Fish and Dirty Bird getting ready to call all of the action for round 1 of our Swiss format. We do apologize, but we're back. We're ready to go. The nerves got to us, honestly. Before we can even get to the games, the nerves hit us. But as we're talking about Dirty Bird, we have 2 teams, Konichi and Demeter. Do you think there's going to be any nerves, especially because they're playing the first game on stream? I know these are experienced players. I know they're used to it, but do you still think there's going to be that nerves from being that first team up? Or do you think they're going to be ready to go and they're just going to be, as soon as we start, they're going to be firing on all cylinders?
So I think it's going to be a little bit of both. Before the map starts, there's definitely, from some players that are not used to being on streams, going to be a little bit nervous. I mean, it's rough being the first team on broadcast of the day, especially when you're a newer team or more novice players. However, you need to have trust and faith in not only your own abilities, but as well and your teammates' abilities as well. And as soon as those doors drop, I'm pretty sure it's going to be zoned out and honed in on what they're doing in front of them. They're going to disregard the fact that there's a broadcast. Hopefully, if they have the stream running in any way, shape, or form, it's muted in the background because you don't need the extra audio distractions, or better yet, not even on, because you need to just be focused on yourself, your team, and your gameplay, and doing everything in your power to be absolutely successful. And as we mentioned, we are going to be starting out on Control, and the doors dropping are going to be dropping in on Busan. So which of the sub-map types we're going to start on? Will sub-maps for Busan we start on? I don't know. Are we likely to see the war of attrition composition that's been developing, so to speak, with the release of the new hero and the buffs that have come to the battle cattle that is Orisa? Probably. That means we're going to see some pretty intense, long fights happening initially on these points if they choose to go with that composition, though.
The battle cattle got me good. I'm going to be honest. I was not ready for that one. But yeah, as you said, we are going to start on Busan. As a caster, selfishly, I'll say, hey, unmute this stream. If you pop off, I want to be able to hype you up. But no, Nerdy is right. You definitely don't want any of those background distractions. But before we hop in, let's take a look at the rosters for both of these teams. Starting off with Kunoichi here. Again, taking on Demeter should be coming up just in a few moments here on Busan. But we do have the rosters hopefully to get to before we started. As I already said, maybe we're looking for Battle Cattle. We'll get to that. But right now, for Kuniichi CGL, we have Barcode, Emily, Evie, SK, and Aspen as the starting 5. We'll see what they're able to do on this first map. And now, Nerdy, why don't you take it away with Demeter's lineup?
Yeah, for Demeter's lineup, we're actually going to be starting out with Blobfish, Holly, who is actually Ilex, is how we have been told to pronounce that name, Maple, Karma, Rorke, and Confusion to round out that roster. Very excited to see what they bring to the table. Notice that on our previous roster screen, we had Aspen with the Yari already as their main hero for the roster lineup. In this case, we have Karma and Rorke coming out with the Ana Baptiste. However, Baptiste synergizes insanely well with the Yari, so we could see Karma actually, they could be rolling out on Yari to begin with just to help facilitate their team more and play off of Baptiste, but we'll have to wait and see.
I'll be honest, I would be putting something super troll as my favorite hero. They gotta prep for the Yari. That just never touch it. Be like, no, I don't even play that. That would be me. I'm just always trying to gain that little edge. I'll be honest, but again, we'll have to see. I'm excited here. And you talked about Busan as we look like we're ready to hop in. I know once we get in the sub maps, you'll be able to break it down just a little bit more. But Nerdy, what are you looking for when these teams first come out in that first fight to kind of give you who has this edge in our first Swiss game?
Honestly, what I'm looking for is where their pathing leads them based off the compositions for each submap type. Each type of comp that you run on these 3 submaps has its different locations it's likely to go to find the most success. Now, the interesting part is just because of the way of the meta, we might end up seeing a lot more mirror compositions than we have in the past. Brawl comp mirror does work. You can run spam into brawl comps still, but I'm really, really hoping we do see, as much as some people may not want to, I want to see the War of Attrition composition come out, and I want to see that Orisa, I want to see the Baptiste, I want to see the Iari, and I want just the opportunities to see players set up, take strong angles, and be willing to take those 1v1s or to off angle and just instantaneously dink and doink someone and send them to the respawn screen before the full fight even starts.
Anytime I can mention Battle Cattle, I'm all in. But here we go. We are ready for map number 1 here on Busan. Kunoichi in the blue, Demeter in the red right now. We're seeing some early poke going on here. Emily trying to get onto the point as well. Unlocks in 10 seconds so far. No major damage, but Ilex is dropped low. Turret going to be taken out here, but nothing yet in terms of eliminations as both teams just battling for control of the point. It does finally unlock. Demeter's on there first. They should be able to take it over as Emily gets the first kill onto Rorke.
And we can see that Team Konoichi has come out on that War of Attrition composition. They're choosing to go with the Torbjorn as well as the Sojourn to round out that comp, whereas Team Demeter has a variation of it with the double flank DPS, and that could have been their undoing. Target focus is paramount when it comes to running that Sombra Tracer and capitalizing on those hacks. The issue is that Konoichi has a lot of damage. The Ahri can easily turn, BAP can turn, they can force out any of those flankers, rendering that comp useless, and thus is why Demeter's made a hot swap over to double
Troll is my favorite hero.
Apologies, double sniper. We have Hanzo as well as Widowmaker now. Capitalize on high ground control that's going to be difficult to challenge for Team Konoichi.
Demeter trying to see if they can find a pick. The turret is going to be taken out by Ilex. That should make at least it a little bit easier to peek these corners, at least for now. The Ant Matrix did go down up there for Aspen, but weren't quite able to find a pick either. Eevee right now just holding the front line. You do see the enemy Orisa coming in. Blobfish at least trying to get some damage as Karma gonna get a pick onto Emily. That is huge. Now up one in the fight is Demeter, but they haven't found a way onto the point quite yet. So far looking for one more elimination, are able to take down the Immortality field. We do see Eevee has the ult if they want to use it. They're gonna rip it out, try and pick up a kill, but not quite able to, but their teammates got him as they get two, and unfortunately, despite the early pick, Nerdy, Demeter's going back to the spawn empty-handed.
Karma also popped that Captive Sun, which typically you do see comboed with a secondary ultimate, and the combo, so to speak, is Terra Surge in conjunction with that ultimate. Eevee also popped their Terra Surge, so Orisa no Terra Surge, Somnus now has Captive Sun. There goes that combination, so that means you need to rely on your team to pick a target, get a lot of damage out on them when the solar comes down onto the players, when they're marked with the sun. Gotta make sure they're deleted. We have strong angles being taken right now by Maple. Gets out a shot, but I don't even think it made contact.
There is the ult from Somnus, and oh my goodness, just as you talked about, an easy 4K for Somnus and company. Maple the only one left, and that's probably gonna about do it here with that team kill for map 1.
I mean, Captive Sun, when used properly, is one of the most disgusting ultimates right now in the game. Like I mentioned, you do typically see it comboed, but it looked like he already knew what they were doing. They were cooking, and they said, leave me in the kitchen alone.
Yeah, I mean, who needs... That's what I'm talking about, though. I love the support pop-ups. I'm pumped, Nerdy. At least, I mean, if you're not a Demeter fan, you're probably excited to at least see the support pop it off, but absolutely insane. But what do you think Demeter needs to do here as we go to map 2 here on Busan to force us to a map 3? Because they only got maybe a handful of picks. It never felt like they were able to find their footing and ever really control the point, let alone even win a team fight.
So, honestly, they made the quick swap after losing fight 1, which is totally fine, but if they're going to continue to run a double sniper or even double hit scan composition, making sure that when they peek these angles, they need to be 1-2-3ing with their teams, that there's pressure being created from multiple angles by them, so the one person who's off angling alone is not likely to get pressured out or sent back to the spawn screen. But we do have Ilex, who's gone onto the Tracer as opposed to sticking with the Hanzo pick. Maple swapping over off Widow to Sojourn. That get out ability with Slide is quite powerful, but when Slide is forced, you're sitting duck, and unfortunately, they're sent back to respawn. Barcode is, at least.
Yeah, Barcode went for the flank, did get picked off by Blobfish and company, but that's the only loss right now for the team in blue is Konoichi trying to get onto that point and hold it, and they will do that. So despite the loss of the Sojourn, they're able to hold this point once again. Now Eevee looking to push forward. Somnus does go down, the hero from last map. Could be a chance for Demeter to push in here. They just haven't been able to find the angles. Konoichi set up so well defensively. Turret is taken out here, so a chance maybe to siege if you're Demeter, but they just cannot find the eliminations. Finally, Blobfish finds one, but it's immediately traded out as the Orisa goes down. Ilex going to win the 1v1 there as well, so a couple of picks for Demeter, but they just simply cannot find ways to win. Finally, Ilex gets another, and Demeter, for the first time in this series, will have control of the point.
It did take the standard amount of time, which is, you know, that 30 percentile mark to reclaim a point after you've initially lost it. It was an extremely long, drawn-out fight, and because of how long that was drawn out, you can see we have Captive Sun and Terra Surge already for Team Demeter. We're also going to have that Amplification Matrix coming out from Konoichi and Terra Surge as well. Emily getting very, very close to the Molten Core. We hear Amplification Matrix for Engage immediately by Team Konoichi. able to just walk away from it. However, Karma got a little bit too close to the sun and is sent back to the respawn by Emily.
No Karma, that means no Captive Sun for Demeter. We saw how powerful that ult can be. Molten Core gonna come out here from Emily. And now Somnus immediately gonna rip the Captive Sun where they have as much success as they had last time. They're able to get Rorke. A huge pick onto the enemy support. Demeter, you see the health bar is incredibly low though. Maple with the ult trying to help sustain for Demeter. Ilex and Maple so incredibly low. Ilex will go down, but Karma's got back in the fight. The Captive Sun gets a revenge kill on to Somnus, and Demeter able to hold on, just trading back and forth, but they're starting to finally run out of lives, and it looks like Konoichi should be able to grab the point here once they pick up this final kill, and that's exactly what they'll do.
EV trying to force back the Baptiste, gonna cling to the space, use Spear Spin back off, but Blobfish, during that Terror Surge, got dangerously low, was able to still confirm the completed Terror Surge. However, they sacrificed himself shortly thereafter. It counts as a zoning, counts as doing damage a little bit. Extra control on the point. They are leading by 10%. However, by the time this full fight starts, it's going to allow Team Konoichi to get in the lead. We hear Molten Core is going to get dropped on point. This Amp Matrix doubles, doing damage and amplified healing, as we also hear Overclock by Barcode popping off with that ultimate.
2 kills already for Barcode, looking for a third. Gonna go chasing down onto Ilex and pick up the kill. And that's a huge win for Konoichi. And I think we've maybe only got 2 or 3 more fights left here, Dirty. What does Demeter need to do to get this map back in their favor?
As much as it pains me to say it, they really need to get a reset in here. We've had players getting picked off late in the fight when the fight was already determined to have been won by Team Konoichi. So they need to make sure they're able to rekindle the flame and get their full force forward. They're pulling a lot of attention back towards the point, so these people that were eliminated early for this full engage are going to have the time to get back. That just means that their Orisa needs to stay alive and not get overly aggressive into the front lines here just yet.
Both Terror Surges are almost dead. Even Eevees is up. Blobfish is 4% away. But here comes Somnus with the ult, looking to finish it off. Terror Surge gonna pick up one as well. Blobfish gonna go for the hero play, try and charge up the Terror Surge, but not able to find anything. And much like map 1, map 2 ends with a team kill. And a point to Konoichi here as they claim Busan and are now 1 game away from winning our first Switch matchup.
And we're going to get an opportunity to play of the game. It is going to be Somnus coming out with the Iari. Most likely that Captive Sun we saw at the end of map 1. Yep, there it is. There was a Dragons going through it. She uses the movement ability of Iari to get out of the way. Extra healing done at the end as well. Remember, this is a support hero.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Maybe. I don't know. The line is getting heavily blurred.
I can't remember. I could probably count on one hand the number of times in Overwatch since its release that a support gets a 4K with their ultimate. But
yeah,
I'm here for it. Like I said, if you're not a Demeter fan, I think you root for the support popping off because they have endured years and years and decades of being spammed by Genjis that they need more healing.
Yeah, it is a lot of suffering, but unfortunately right now for Team Demeter, it seems like the supports are struggling to stay alive right now, and that can come down to your tank not taking the proper angles or your DPS not applying enough pressure, or unfortunately supports it's your own gosh darn fault because you're out in the open. In most of these cases, though, I do unfortunately think it's a little bit of not enough pressure being put on people that are able to be dealing damage onto your support line, and supports sometimes stepping just into the line of fire, trying to help someone stay alive from what I'm noticing. So really, it's going to come down to target focus, making sure you're properly applying that pressure, and supports. Tell your team to back off if you need to heal them, if they're going too far in. Don't sacrifice your good positioning because your teammate has decided that they want to be in the enemy team as opposed to being, in front of you. So at the end of the day, hopefully the communication works out a little bit better for the teams. Of course, we can't hear it, but, I've spent enough time on support to know what it feels like to be like, I can't see you, go left, go right, or a team just, why aren't I getting healed? I don't know, you're behind a wall, I can't help you, but honestly, I think things might even out a little bit more as we move into our next map. But as I mentioned, that control point, Flashpoint is like that, just on steroids. So if it was that difficult for Team Demeter on this one, if we do move into Flashpoint, what are they going to change by then? Are they just going to swap comps entirely? Because Flashpoint, you can do the Lucio play more. Hopefully that works more in their favor, but we'll have to wait and see if they change things up here.
To get to Flashpoint, though, they are going to have to pull out a win on Hybrid. I believe, again, it will go Control, Hybrid, Flashpoint. It is first to 2 wins. So Konoichi is, if they can pull off this win on Numbani, will end it before we even get to Flashpoint. And as we see, Numbani is going to be the pick. Nerdy, what do you got? What are your keys? What are the nerdy keys here for Numbani for both of our teams?
Supports, make sure that you are playing in a space where you can, if you're on defense, where you can back off, get out of line of sight. You know, jiggle peeking is very strong. Additionally, watch your lanes, watch your angles. If you are a DPS who is going to be the unfortunate job of playing Tracer and going coastline, don't overstay your welcome. Pull the attention. Tell your team you've pulled attention, and let them engage. Don't try and take the 1v1 if you're at a disadvantage. And, you know, click heads, don't die and get value. Those are my keys.
I feel like a lot of our games just click heads, right? Just if you click on their head, you will win. It's just that simple. So we'll see if they're able to listen to you, Nerdy. Just as you said, just simply click on the heads. And I think the other thing that Demeter struggled with at times on Busan is I don't know if their Tracer at least got a single kill. They even got outflanked by Barcode on the Sojourn there on that second map. So maybe they're able to get some more value on that Tracer. We will have to see. But Konoichi trying to say, let's just start with an early 2-0. Let everybody know, hey, if you're watching the stream, we just 2-0'd our first game. That's the best way too, right? If you're trying to keep going in that Swiss bracket, of course, you face teams with similar records. Quick 2-0, you're not fatigued, you're just chilling. So Konoichi probably just trying to wrap this one up quickly, and we'll see if Demeter has any success. Oh, you will say you talk about how supports need to tell their DPS to back up. What I just saw, Nerdy, if I'm a DPS, I say, why don't you just quad kill him? I just saw their support do it. It's just that easy, right?
The epitome of get good.
Why do I even need a DPS? I should just be, you're the support and the DPS. But again, I don't think that's necessarily the case unless you're playing the newest hero. But we'll have to see. Maybe we'll see a 4 kill with the Battle Mercy. That would be absolutely wild. I would love to see that.
If we see that, I'll be both laughing and crying at the same time. And one thing I do want to touch on is you mentioned Tracers struggling a little bit, and I do think just the state of the game does make it hard for Tracers, but when it comes to being the Tracer player, unless you are one of the most horrifying in the best ways, like you are scary to play against Tracers in the world, honestly, one of the best things you can add as being a Tracer is A, staying alive, being an annoying gnat and doing a little bit of tickle damage, but also pulling that attention resource away from the attention being focused on your team to it being focused on you. Staying alive, hiding, letting people know that you are there is more than enough. We can see a replay of that supportal combat, so to speak, coming out from the Yari. This is just grotesque. Like, I completely understand how much fun it is to be able to get these eliminations as a support, but oh my gosh, that is grotesque. And then also we saw Barcode popping off on that Sojourn as well earlier in that highlight. But if you have ult tracking, like there's always an ult tracker on your team. If not one, there's multiple. It typically falls onto the main support, RIP your vocal cords. With that being said, if you know that there is a Captive Sun coming into play, I mean, you can save Spear Spin for it. You can have someone play Kiriko, you can actually use Suzu on it. D.Va can eat it, Genji can deflect it if you choose to play a Genji. There are ways to counter it, but you need to get in the head of your enemy, so to speak, and anticipate when that Captive Sun's going to be used and save your cooldown for it, as opposed to just using the cooldown that can prevent the Captive Sun and then letting them use their ultimates on top of your head.
We will see what Numbani has in store for both our teams. Again, it is the Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2, our first game of the Swiss bracket, at least on the stream right now, going live between Konoichi and Demeter. Konoichi won game 1, and now are 1 game away from just claiming an early 1-0 on the day. See what they have up on Numbani on Hybrid here, and if you're Demeter, we'll see if they're able to answer back. I will say, and the one thing that I wanted to point out now that we see the comps Nerdy, is it felt like Demeter had success when they went with the mirror of what Konoichi was doing on Control. It felt like when they tried their own comps, they weren't having as much success. So I'm curious if that will still remain true here on Numbani, or if they'll have more success on their own comp here as they look to attack first and set a statement here in map number 2.
And we do see a slight variation in the original composition that Konoichi had. Instead of that Baptiste, they're going to have Mercy as well as Barcode going with Tracer. And they have Ashe, which that Dynamite can be very oppressive to teams. We hear it go off. People are burning. They get barbecued. Reinhardt takes the TP alone, which is tragic. Blobfish has to disengage, back off, and pray that they're able to get back with their team without getting eliminated, or this is almost going to be a fight loss. However, their team's not getting pressured, so they are able to get their TP up and retake that high ground.
Both teams have the high ground. They almost have swapped in a sense. Konoichi now more on that attacking side as they do lose Karma, so first elimination is going to go to Eevee, and this now could mean Demeter, they're so deep, they're going to be in a very interesting position.
No!
As we do see Eevee's going to take care of Ilex as well. Bastion in that form, not able to get anything, and this looks like it will be just like before, another quick fight and elimination for Konoichi.
Oh my gosh, Eevee just able to spear spin not one, but I think 2 or 3 members off the map in that corner. It had to be painful. Mistakes were made. Hopefully those mistakes are rectified and not made a second time. We do see no composition changes whatsoever coming out from Team Demeter, and Mercy was unfortunately eliminated for Konoichi, has returned as well. Getting the Mercy pick is fine, but when you've already lost 2 players on your own team, can't really do too much other than get yourself some ult charge. Bastion already used tank formation, getting through past bus towards the underside of the map near that mega. Looks like they're going to repeat the rotation. Hopefully 1, 2, 3 this TP this time, so everyone takes it, not just the Reinhardt.
Looks like everyone is able to get through. Pulse Bomb going to go out from Barcode. Nothing going to have of it, but it will force the Immortality Field from Wark, and that will be taken care of. Amp Matrix is going to go down for Demeter, and they find an elimination on Aspen. This might be their opportunity. Valkyrie is going to be popped by Somnus, and they're going to get a revenge kill. They're going to get a revive, onto Aspen, and Emily will get the kill onto Maple. And we see trade kills back and forth, 2 down for both teams. Now Wark is going down. You see Emily does have Bob available, but might not even need it. Gonna get flanked from behind. Give up the high ground. Let their team finish the job. And Demeter with a quick start, but after that revive from Somnus, just could not recover.
Things got a little bit sticky when Somnus got deleted. Our wish of seeing a Battle Mercy came true, but it was not a Battle Mercy 5k. It was a Battle Mercy pepper damage and then deleted. Coming up into this next fight, we're going to see Terra Surge along with Captive Sun for Team Konoichi, as well as Bob online. We do have a wall, which is a great opportunity to wall off any sort of Bob damage coming down on Team Demeter. If it is in an opportune spot, hopefully they can manage to work their way around that. Captive Sun is going to be used initially, as well as wall. Return Captive Sun coming out from Aspen. We do see Emily is going to get deleted for Team Konoichi. There's the Terra Surge. Terra Surge picks up 1. Blobfish goes down. However, there's 2 on the point, and it is capping. Looks like Demeter will be able to get this.
Oh, they might. They're 96%. I think. No, the caster curse is real.
I spoke too soon. Oh, I'm so sorry.
98.5%. Bob had an insane fight as well. I think a 3K for Emily coming from Bob. Well, every ult's on cooldown. Barcode might get an ult here, but there's 23 seconds left, and they still have to get that final tick. Does Demeter to continue this round? 16 seconds and counting down now. Will they be able to find success? They are going to get a pick onto Barcode. This might be enough with Maple finding that one. We do see Blobfish on the point, trying to do as much damage and soak as much damage as possible. Emily now going to go down as well. Maple doing a great job with picks onto both DPS. Overtime has activated about a third of the way now, halfway through this, and they should finally be able to do it and continue this game. It was very close to ending there, but oh, they got it just in the nick of time.
I thankfully did not fully curse that one. I only cursed it for about a handful, maybe 30, 40 seconds, but I was sweating a little bit there. I felt really bad if I ended up cursing Team Demeter. Now going into this next fight, Demeter's going to have the self-destruct window. Very close to Pulse, might as well say they have Pulse, as well as that overclock, whereas Team Konoichi, they're going to have Valkyrie, Captive Sun, and Pulse Bomb. All of these can be used to create a disgusting amount of damage going forward. Pulse Bomb might be able to find a pick or 2, or it can just force Immortality to allow Team Konoichi to make some magic happen. However, they do lose their Mercy early on to Maple with that amplification matrix.
Maple has really stepped it up. Multiple kills in these last fights, helping Demeter continue this map. Now Blobfish going to get a pick onto Emily. Somnus actually will switch over to the Brig where they rejoin the fight. Aspen going to go down as well. No Captive Sun going to come out. The major scary point of our first game mode on control for Demeter, so they don't have to worry about that. They should be able to push. Ilex going to get a couple as well, and all of a sudden, Demeter, who merely almost missed getting point 1, is really on a heavy push right now. Might even be able to get to point 2 here without a re-engage.
And we do see Eevee swapping over to D.Va to mirror. Emily is on Soldier 76. Ilex is still on Tracer, might get pressured out a bit more by the Soldier. Brigitte should be able to create pressure on Ilex as well, who is Ilex definitely redeeming from our first map. Self-destruct used to engage, interesting, works out, picks up the Brigitte as well.
I think Eevee was, or excuse me, Blobfish was able to eat the Captive Sun as well. So a huge play for Blobfish, not only eating that ult, getting a kill with the self-destruct, and all of a sudden Demeter just pushing down. But of course, this could be the hardest point to take there because the respawn is so close for Konoichi. You can't just get 1 or 2 picks. You need to get a full team kill here if you want to get this 3rd point here on Numbani.
Well, another stagger. Somnus is in respawn thanks to that pulse bomb. You mentioned the respawn being extremely close. It is. However, if you get staggered like that, it can make things a little bit more difficult for your team. Karma, they have Captive Sun online. We hear the attack visor get popped by Emily. It's just going to be forcing people back. D.Va's able to disengage. Someone gets low, but because the Helix rocket being used a little too soon, they are not going to be eliminated just yet. There's the Captive Sun. We hear Amplification Matrix as well getting popped both by Team Demeter. With Team Konoichi, though, everyone is still standing despite the 2 ults.
Not only are they standing, they're thriving as they're going to pick up 3 kills. Maybe going to pop the overclock, trying to equalize this. They played so well on this map, but aren't quite able to do it. And they're going to go down. Still a minute left on the time for Demeter, but they are full out of ultimates. If you take a side look at Konoichi's side, Nerdy, they're going to have basically their full repertoire outside of the attack visor to play with. So what are you looking for in this fight? And can Demeter find a way to win despite being disadvantaged in the ults?
We've swapped over to the Baptiste Lucio, so possibly trying to find this Brigitte, eliminate her very fast, get high charge on Zarya from people taking pressure during the engage, and hopefully Lucio staying alive as long as possible in this composition because your Zarya needs that. We hear Rally. There's Terra Surge, Captive Sun, all drop down. People for the side of Team Demeter need to just delete themselves very quickly, reset fast as possible. I don't know if Blobfish staying. Yep, there we go. I was about to say, Zarya might be a little too slow when you have less than 20 seconds on the clock. So we see we're going to swap over to the Wrecking Ball as well as the Sombra to try and get a touch on the payload with 10 seconds remaining.
7 seconds left, still no touch. Blobfish trying to get there, which is crowd controlled and not able to make it. Someone is able to get a touch though and force a little bit of overtime. So far, everyone on the meter is healthy, but here comes that attack visor. Mortality field is going to go down. It will be taken out by Emily, the Ant Matrix, in return to try and survive through. Remember, they've got to keep at least a toe on that point. And with Blobfish going down, it's going to be even harder. Barry going to come out here from Carver to keep everybody nice and healthy, but they do not have that tank they so desperately need. And they're just being pushed off and barely get a touch on, but you can see right now they just don't have the resources. They don't have that tank. And they will unfortunately not be able to get the retouch. So a good push for Demeter. They don't quite 3-cap, but based on the way that map started, I think they got much further than I expected maybe only 4 minutes ago.
Yeah, tragically, in that final fight, we saw Wrecking Ball round the corner, which there was an amplification matrix behind Wrecking Ball. And so when you're that tank, when you're that DPS, and you know there's an amp matrix behind you, typically you anticipate your team to swing forward with it, be able to create pressure, and it amplifies the healing. So even if you're critical, odds are you'll survive. The issue was both supports were backed off into the room with the mini as opposed to being able to swing out with that amp matrix. And so I'm not sure if Wrecking Ball was aware that that was happening in the heat of the battle, the heat of the moment during that battle. So unfortunately, Wrecking Ball went without healing for an extended period of time, got sent back to respawn, and then as you mentioned, they were fighting without their tank, that big space maker, and it really comes down to knowing when you can take space and that back-to-front communication. Is your support telling you if you can go in? Is your support telling you, we have the resources, we can play for picks here? Or is your support telling you, I need you to play like a chicken and play your life right now, because I too am nearly dead?
I can't hear you if you stray.
And, I mean, I think Demeter, they made as good a play as they could, right? They went in, they forced Konoichi to blow all 4 ultimates in that fight. I think maybe Konoichi expecting there wouldn't be enough time, so they got all the ults out of the way, but as he pointed out, Blobfish just didn't have any healing. The Ant Matrix was down, but the supports were line of sight. We'll see what Konoichi can do on attack. Remember, Demeter took all the way till overtime here just to claim the payload before they started that massive push. So they did not have a lot of time in the bank from the start. We'll see if Konoichi can have a better start than that. Is right now Blobfish and Eevee both on that Diva, looking to just try and take as much damage as possible. The mech gonna go down early for Eevee. Barcode goes down as well, and it looks like, much like Demeter, a rough first attack here for Konoichi, as they're gonna lose just one, but they have the baby Diva, who's not much help.
Hey, Pilot Diva can do a lot of damage, but they're also extremely squishy. This is why Eevee is already eliminated by Maple. Emily is going to just fly away over near coastline. As the Echo player without a pocket, because your Mercy has been deleted, you get a little bit more of a squishy mentality. You can't be taking those crazy angles, creating a whole lot of pressure. Backing off and resetting was the best thing they could do, because this Echo Mercy needs to be the one taking that hard off angle on the left side on coast. Glad to see that they're able to communicate that amongst themselves and all reset. Got another fight already started, just sub 3 minutes left on this first push.
Fish drop a low immortality field will keep him alive. Almost have that self-destruct, but Emily also nearly to that duplicate as well. That might be our first ult we see come online. We'll see if they want to use it or not. As Konoichi looking for an in. The duplicate online, the self-destruct up. Barcode gonna get a pick. Aspen will as well, and already Konoichi up 2 in this fight. Make it up 3 as they're able to take out Blobfish as well. And look at what the duplicate here onto the Tracer. Push Demeter all the way back, well past where they need to be for defense. And this should be an easy capture. One tick already down here, and I don't think Konoichi's gonna have any near scares like Demeter did.
Honestly, I'm shocked Emily did not choose to copy the Iati, who is still alive in that instance. One of my favorite things is seeing an Echo copy on Iati, because you too get the Captive Sun and get a 4K, not only as a DPS player, but a DPS duping a support. It's great. We have Eevee coming up with self-destruct. Blobfish used self-destruct in the last fight. Unfortunately, will not have it. We have Captive Sun, Amplification Matrix, as well as almost a full pulse bomb for Team Demeter. Whereas we have Valk, Captive Sun, self-destruct, and basically a Dragon's online for the Team Konoichi. I'm excited to see if this Dragons is used to get eliminations or to split the team and allow a support ultimate to come in and clean up the remainder of the team.
Valkyrie will be the first support ultimate popped here for Somnus. There go the Dragons as well, and they're going to get an elimination onto Maple, who just couldn't quite get out of the way. Somnus going to pick up the Battle Mercy kill here as well onto Rorke. Oh, they're going to maybe find another one here onto Ilex. Ilex drops low, but it'll be Aspen who actually claims the support kill. But the Valkyrie plus the Dragon Strike, they didn't even need the Captive Sun, and they're just going to keep on pushing. They'll probably get one more engagement here, though, Will to Meter, before they get to that second point.
And it's going to be Aspen as well as Barcode just chilling out, pushing the payload. Karma's pylon was still alive, so now it's 12 seconds before that pylon can be placed because it took damage and was deleted by someone of the enemy team. By the time this engage starts, it should be okay. Yep, you can see cooldown is finally expunged for Karma. Able to place that pylon up. Bob is used by Maple. We hear Captive Sun. Is it going to be eaten? No, it's going to be confirmed onto 2 targets. One is gone. Second one is gone. That's a 2K for Karma.
Karma's going to add it a kill on to Eevee's mech as well. So Barcode does get a little bit of revenge, does take out Maple. Does seem like Demeter overall has won this fight. There's still that Captive Sun on Aspen that I think Demeter has to be wary of, especially after how successful it's been on the first map. Right now, Demeter does stand strong, and I think, as you pointed out, Diva can eat the Captive Sun, so a lot of pressure on Blobfish to take care of Aspen's ult, the only ult Konoichi should have in this next fight.
Blobfish is using self-destruct early. Tragically, their support is going to get deleted in that instance. Down goes the Baptiste. Emily, still alive, is burning, uses the copy onto the Tracer. That's a quick pulse bomb if there's enough damage peppered out by Emily. We do see Maple goes down for Team Demeter, so they're currently down 2. Baptiste is still coming back from spawn. This is a duel between Emily and Karma. Looks like Emily is going to manage, with the help of Mercy, to delete Karma.
Oh, we were distracted by Emily. Barcode was cleaning up the team. He picks up 3. They pick up 3 in that fight. And they're going to be able to get that second point. Keep pushing. Remember, they only have to get 62.3 meters here. You could see the golden parking space that Konoichi needs to get to not only win this map, but to win this first Swiss game. And they have 3, make it 4 ultimates online. Demeter's just going to have a pulse bump and maybe an amp matrix. So They're going to be working uphill with Blobfish going down. That's a huge loss. They're going to lose another in Ilex as well. Barcode is popping off. Dragon Strike going to come through. Somnus going to get the res onto Emily, so it's full health for Konoichi. They're going to have everybody alive. A 10-player kill streak for Barcode. Emily picking up a couple. They are so staggered. They should be able to walk this payload into the parking space.
And we do see Blobfish just decided to swap over onto the Ramatra. And you said that there's a lot of pressure on D.Va players to eat the Captive Sun. I think it's a little bit easier as a D.Va to eat Captive Sun now than it used to be to eat the Zarya Ultimate Graviton Surge because of the amount of time that passes. But regardless, Team Konoichi is going to walk away with the victory on Control Busan as well as on Nimbani here. And that means they are victors for our first game. And we're going to see Eevee play the game. If this is not the Environmentals, I'm going to be a little sad. It is. It is the Environmentals.
Yeah, they just absolutely popped off here. It said, no, I control this platform. You do not control this platform. This is my platform. I will say, going from Control to Hybrid, Demeter looked like a much better team. They held their own. They were able to make that a map on Control. It kind of felt like they get a kill and then fall over. So I think a really good second effort by the Demeter, but Konoichi just seems like they always had the answer. Barcode was just, I mean, what, 10-plus player kill streak there to end that map. You look at the kill feed, it was just Barcode, 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 Emily, Barcode, Barcode. So really a great team effort. I think Konoichi putting everybody on notice that this team, they can run meta, and they can beat you if you run meta, because that's what they did against the Beater.
We'll have to see if that holds true for the remainder of the Swiss series here, because it is a round robin at the same time. We'll most likely not see Konoichi today on broadcast, may see them tomorrow. We'll have to wait things out and let history write itself, so to speak. Nonetheless, Team Demeter definitely had their pop-off moments, and one thing that I do think is tragic, though, is because of the introduction of Flashpoint, basically TOs have an option of make it a best of 7 or take away a map type. And so the map type that was removed in favor of Flashpoint for this tournament right now during this series is going to be that Escort. And the Escort portion of Numbani, like you said, they did extremely good on that. So perhaps Escort was kind of their ace in the whole map type. And now that it's gone, they really have to work on, you know, those hybrid maps and work on just kind of getting a foot in the door on the control points.
Yeah, I mean, they do have push, which I know is sort of similar to Escort, kind of as a tiebreaker. So if you're maybe able to get there, that's about you're close. But that, of course, requires you to tie on hybrid, which is your best type. So it's, as you said, maybe it which comes down to they need that Escort portion. Unfortunately for Demeter, like I said, I think they learned a lot from that series. You could see the growth and the improvement just from map 1 to map 2. Like, okay, this team gets it now. Would have liked them to be a little bit quicker on hybrid. Nearly had to blame Dirty for a caster curse in round 1. We never want to do that, but I do believe we have the standings so we can look at least coming into this event. I don't know if they're updated through round 1, but I do believe we have the standings, and the teams were seeded based off how they were on those points that you talked about, Nerdy, coming in. I do believe Konoichi was quite higher in those points for Demeter, so Demeter is definitely already facing an uphill battle, and I think they look good. Again, it's just one of those things with the Swiss bracket. Now you're going to play a team that's 0-1. Maybe you have an easier time. Maybe you work your way back up. But again, I think a really good first game. And of course, who could complain? First game, first map, support 4K with the Captive Sun for the support that we were hyping up in the intro.
I mean, I'm a support player, so of course I'm going to be biased towards seeing support play the games. However, people in LAT are probably a little bit tired of seeing it at this point. There is a lot of ERE plays of the games happening. And as you mentioned, we are going to take a quick look at the standings. And one thing to note is that Team Konoichi, I believe, one of their players during the last major was actually not there. So now that they have their full force here, it means that they're definitely a team to reckon with, and they are here to play, and they're here to win.
Before we get to those standings, so I do think we're going to take a look at the replays. We're also going to have an interview from this first series as well. So we will take a break. We come back of an interview from the Konoichi Demeter series before we go into round 2 of our Swiss bracket here on our Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2 right after this.
And amplified healing, as we also hear Overclock by Bark.
Both Terror Surges are almost dead. Even Eevee's is up. Blobfish's is 4% away. But here comes Somnus with the ult, looking to finish it off. Terror Surge
going to get an opportunity to play of the game is going to be Somnus coming out with the Yari. Most likely that Captive Sun we saw at the end of map 1. Yep, there it is. There was a Dragons going through it. She uses the movement ability of Yari to get out of the way.
So first elimination is going to go to Eevee, and this now could mean Demeter. They're so deep, they're going to be in a very interesting position.
No!
As we do see Eevee's going to take care of Ilex as well. Bastion in that form, not able to get anything, and this looks like it will be just like before another.
Initially, as well as Wall. Return Captive Sun coming out from Aspen. We do see Emily is going to get deleted.
Down as well. Maple doing a great job with picks onto both DPS. Overtime has activated about a third of the way now, halfway through this, and they should finally be able to do it. They continue this game out. The major scary point of our first game mode on control for Demeter. So they don't.
Lucio staying alive as long as possible in this competition because your Zarya needs that. We hear Rally. There's
But here comes that tack visor. Mortality field is going to go down. It will be taken out by Emily, the Ant Matrix, in return to try and survive through. Remember, they've got to keep at least a toe on that point. And with Blobfish going down, it's going to be even harder. Barry going to come out here from Carver to keep everybody nice and healthy. But they do not have that tank they so desperately need. And they're just being pushed off and barely get a touch on, but you can see right now they just don't have the resources. They up 3 as they're able to take out Blobfish as well. And look at what the duplicate here onto the Tracer, push Demeter all the way back, well past where they need to be for Somnus. There go the Dragons as well, and they're going to get an elimination on the Maple, who just couldn't quite get out of the way. Somnus going to pick up the Battle Mercy kill here as well onto Rorke. Oh,
it's going to be eaten. No, it's going to be confirmed onto 2 targets. One is gone. Second one is gone. That's a 2K for Karma.
Going down, that's a huge...
A lot of pressure on D.Va players to eat the Captive Sun. I think it's a little bit easier as a D.Va to eat Captive Sun now than it used to be to eat the Zarya Ultimate Graviton Surge because environmentals.
Yeah, they just absolutely popped off here. It said, no, I control this platform. You do not control this platform. This is my platform. Welcome back, everyone, to the Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2. We just saw Konoichi take down Debeater, and joining us to kind of highlight and enjoy their win is Wisp of Konoichi. Now, we didn't get to see you in the game, Wisp. You said maybe you'll get to play later today. You did say you were coaching on the sidelines, so kind of walk me through what you were going through with your team in that game. It looked like control was pretty easy on Nubani. They put up a fight, but you guys in the game were able to take care of business.
Like what a lot of teams are running, like, the Orisa comp and just Torb or like other hit scans, off-railing with Alari. The next map, we didn't really talk much about it. We just figured we tried something with Mercy because Somnus plays a lot of Mercy. That's pretty much it. Everyone just played really well.
Apologies. So, as Fish mentioned, and as you discussed with us before the interview started, you are in the coaching role / team captain, team representative, because you were, forced into this interview despite being the observer of that last match. However, two of your teammates conveniently mentioned in their fun fact of the day that they have tummy aches. So do you anticipate yourself having to sub in here in this next match that may be off screen for us here on broadcast to take the place of one of your players who has a tummy ache?
Yeah, everyone's too scared to do the interviews from over here, but yeah, I am a sub first. I'll be playing for Emily when she goes to the UK, which is very cool. But yeah, I guess if those tummy aches progress, I might get a little more playtime today.
Tragically, I was hoping that you'd be like using a camera for this interview. So because your fun fact, you mentioned that you can do a flip, and I'm like, is it a front flip? Is it a back flip? Like, can we see this? Because I don't know. Little bit interesting that we've got one player's like, I can't do a flip, and then you're over here like, let me flex on y'all. I can actually do a flip. I can't do one. So I was kind of excited, but of course, no camera. Totally understand.
Yeah, sorry about that.
To follow up on Nerdy's question, though, are you flipping every map win, every team fight win, or just every series win?
I typically don't do flips based on win or loss, but that might be like a fun workout regimen to do, actually. I'm sure that would get tiring.
Yeah, with the way you guys win, I think it would. But Wisp, we'll get you out of here on this. You guys played the first game on stream. Were there any nerves related, or was it just business as usual? Who cares if people are watching? Who cares if we're on stream or just in front of observers? Or was there any sort of pressure being that first game to kick off our Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2?
Albeit I wasn't in the match, but no, it seemed like everyone was really calm and collected. Everyone's kind of like tossing jokes around mid-game, having a good time, just playing well and having fun, I'll be honest.
Yeah. Cool as a cucumber, I guess, Swiss. So congratulations to you and Konoichi. They're going 1-0 on to Swiss 2, and we won't maybe get to see you, but hopefully if those tummy aches don't go away, you're able to step in and pop off.
Thank you, guys.
Like, I am a little upset, Nerdy, that it's not a flip after at least every round, right? Like at least every map, like...
I'm too accident prone to encourage people to do things that could make them get hurt before a game starts. Like, imagine one of those players is like, yeah, yo, I gotta go, you gotta sub in. And then Wisp is there like, so I just sprained my wrist doing a backflip in celebration of that last map win. So I'm gonna be playing in a wrist brace. And yeah, sorry if my aim is really bad. I mean, I personally like, maybe just like a gift in representation of the flip. And then, at the end of the day, if you do well, do a flip.
Maybe you do like you record yourself, you gif yourself flipping. I would accept that, but hey, if you're gonna put it out there that you could do a flip, like I mean, as someone who can't do a flip, I'd be doing them on command if I could. Like I'd just be go do it. I'm doing it right now. I'm gonna do it in the middle of the street. But no, it's okay. I'll get over it with. I'm sure if they claim that big cash prize and those circuit points, they'll be flipping all over the place. But we do have the standings that we were talking about. Again, not sure if this will be fully updated. We might still have some Swiss games going on, but we could take a look at the standings. These are how the teams were seeded coming in to this Calling All Heroes. Actually, we do. We have all of our games done already, Dirty, so you can see kind of business as usual. The top 9 teams won. And the bottom 9 teams, unfortunately, did not win. Kind of, I guess, what you would expect going into this, again, as they're seeded based on their points that we were talking about before they came into this Unite Minor 2 for Calling All Heroes.
So as the Swiss round progresses, we'll see these start to balance out a little bit more, and we'll definitely see the top contenders start to make themselves known. Washington Justice / Timeless is currently in the lead, and I do believe they are actually one of the two teams we'll be seeing in our next matchup. It is Washington Timeless going against Team Fable. Very excited to see that matchup. Fable is a newer formed team as far as I'm aware, so I'm excited to see those players. Of course, Washington Timeless, I feel like when you pull in not only the Timeless label, but then the Washington Justice label as well and make a team, you better show up. Like, that's the only thing I can say. You are standing on the shoulders of giants, so to speak, coming from your organizations. You are the representation of your organizations. It's a lot of pressure. But of course, my job here is to stir the pot and add the pressure. Hopefully your coaches and your teammates do not mount that pressure on top of you.
I mean, no, like I said with the flips, if you come with the smoke, you better expect all of the heat in the kitchen, since we've been making kitchen references today. So no, I think you're right. Watch it, Timeless. You're going to go with the name. You're going to go with the logo. You better represent. They're number one in standing. So far, they are popping off. We'll see what Fable has to do. But let's start with Fable. So much talk about Washington. Let's start with Fable and take a look at their roster getting ready for this game. I do believe that is the roster from our old team, though, with Maple, Holly, Blobfish, Carmen, Roar, CK. We just saw those in our last game here, but hopefully we'll be able to get Fable's roster here because they have all the pressure. They're going against the top team. And as we talked about with the Swiss, since you're 1-0, you're going to face better and better competition. I'm sure Fable was like, really? We drew the straw of Washington Timeless? Like, can we pick that team instead? But we'll have to see if this roster is up to the task.
I mean, you could also think about it in the way of, like, let's get the hard teams out of the way early on. So, like, you just do your best, but you don't... You hope for the best, but anticipate the worst. Like, maybe you do get 2-0'd, or maybe you get 1-2'd, but at the end of the day, like, you anticipate that this one isn't going to fully go in your favor, so you try, but you don't overly exert yourself so that you can then go into the other games in the Swiss series and actually perform very nicely. Maybe that pressure of not being on broadcast will add into it. And you're just like, okay, let's not broadcast to the world everything that we're capable of doing right now. Let's give them a piece of the pie, and then in the other games where we're not on broadcast, people can't watch, can't scout us, we absolutely pop off and dominate. And then we'll reappear during the playoffs and be like, yeah, by the way, we showed up to play.
Especially against a team like the number one seed, right? We expect Washington Timeless to be there, so maybe you give them sort of a fake out, right? You give them a fake comp, kind of like, wow, this team can't really handle that, and then bam, you punch them in the mouth in playoff. Maybe, again, we'll have to see. That is, as you kind of pointed out, I know not to get too much into math theory, that is kind of a speculated idea with brackets. You maybe first couple games go a little bit lighter, so then your competition is sort of a little bit easier since you're always playing similar records. I'm not saying anyone's doing that, but I know that's always a debate of, hey, instead of playing a 3-0 team, what if we just play a 1-2 team? We should win, right? So we'll have to see. Again, I think Fable's going to give it their all against Washington Timeless here. That is our next game on the stream, and they got a tough pressure to live up to. I mean, right now, like, either of these teams, I'm still looking for you to somehow beat a 4K on a support. I know it's Larry. I know it's an easy support to 4K on, but, like, that's my bar right now, and we'll see if they can go over it.
I mean, I'm shocked we didn't see a Captus on 5K. I'd really like to see a clean execution of what some teams refer to as just straight up the combo, which is the Terra Surge, a Captive Sun, Ultimates conjoined. I'd love to see that. Or, I'd love to see one of those teams that is just so anti-meta that they refuse to play any of the meta heroes. They refuse to play, that war of attrition. They don't want to go battle cattle. Instead, they play to their strengths. They create a unique composition that they know they can work around a lot of other teams' comps to be successful. I love seeing those. Are they sometimes painful to watch when this very interesting composition comes out to play and they just get absolutely steamrolled? It is. However, when they're successful, it is one of the most fulfilling and rewarding, not only broadcasts to watch, but like experience as a player when you're able to just be like, yeah, we're anti-meta and we're going to stick with that type of team to say, yeah, you're meta. It ain't nothing compared to us right now.
I'll be honest. Anything that beats Battle Cattle will make me sad because that's just such a fantastic name. It makes me laugh every single time that I hear the word Battle Cattle. We do have Fable and Washington Timeless coming up in our next match here. Hopefully should have rosters for these teams ready to go shortly. If you are just joining us here for our Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2, I'm Fish, that's Nerdy, and we have 3 maps that each team will play. They will go Control, Hybrid, Flashpoint, first to 2. We'll see if we see Flashpoint. We haven't so far. Why don't you also, we've already talked about the new support. I know Flashpoint, a newer game mode as well. Why don't you, I know you've broken it down here and there, but Nerdy, why don't you break down what you should be expecting if we do see Flashpoint sometime in today's games?
Okay, so you've got a little bit of an interesting thing going on with the Flashpoint comps, because you can play ERE on those maps. But one of the big things that I've noticed a lot more is teams relying on that Lucio speed, because it's about 108 meters from the spawn to the flashpoint in most instances. Even when the flashpoint changes, if you are coming from spawn, it is at least a 100-meter walk. And that's a long distance in Overwatch to go at all in any shape or form. So relying on speed or teleporting, very powerful tools. We could see a Lucio Kiriko composition come out. We could see dive. We could see more rush compositions. We could see like a Jotes comp. I've seen that be very successful when teams are coordinated and are able to focus on targets and get them down. It's just those types of compositions, you kind of look at them like they're burst. They have a gas tank and they use all of their abilities at once and the gas tank gets depleted. They have to go back to the gas station and refuel. So it's a very much so take space, take your advantage, play to it, back off a little bit until you have the advantage again. And this first map type we're actually going to be for the control is Oasis. Not sure which one we're starting out on. Might be University. This is the one we're looking at. This one, you can still play the Orisa compositions that we've been seeing. You can play Brawl. You could always play the classic wall and mall style compositions. You could play a rush comp. You could play dive. Dive's a little bit more difficult on this one because you lose angles and line of sight on people a little bit easier. So understanding where you need to set up first fight based off your comp, always very important.
We'll have to see what our two teams have in store. Again, it is Fable and Washington Timeless. Both of them won their first game. And now we'll hop into round 2 of the Swish. Washington Timeless in the red, Fable in the blue. Both teams looking to beat here on Oasis. Get that first elimination. Really kind of take control like we saw in our first game where Konoichi really didn't lose a single fight on control the whole time. We do see damage trading back and forth so far. No real major picks, no real damage taken. Avery dropping a little bit low here for Fable. Snore is able to put up a couple of turrets as well. Control point does unlock. Now the real fighting begins. Sawhill gonna go rushing in, but he drops right into the trap that Fable had set. Able to do a ton of damage, take out the immortality field as well. But Washington Timeless able to sustain, and a huge pick from Sawhill. That's going to start things out massively for Washington Timeless. They're going to follow that up with a kill onto Jam as well. And just like that, they already have control of the point, and they're slowly racking up these eliminations with Avery going down as well.
Fable has decided for their composition, they're going to run the Orisa and the Genji as opposed to the Reinhardt and Bastion coming out from Timeless. Now, Bastion recently got a buff. That grenade is disgusting. If you do a little bit of damage onto a squishy and then stick them with their grenade, odds are they will get deleted. And if your teammate also managed to get damage on a squishy and that grenade hits both, well, Bastion might get a double kill. Genji, still extremely squishy. I've seen Genjis pop off, but this is a Genji that has to play their life well, use cooldowns wisely. We already see that we have the tank formation from Par used. They're going to TP and use Amp Matrix to just pinch off and destroy Fable.
Ryan with a great Amp Matrix, as you just said. They're going to farm up some ult percentage as well. The Photon Barrier did go out for Fable, but potentially a little bit too late. His two members were already dead, and now Washington Timeless has their whole choice of ultimates already up to that 60%, and this is maybe 2 fights. Maybe Fable needs to try and bait some out in this first one, because right now they only have an Amp Matrix and nothing else for a little bit.
And here comes the artillery strike down from heavens above by Bastion. He's gonna pick up Lucio tragically in rotation. You see Immortality also is going to be popped. Fable is forced to retreat. We hear Shatter go down, lands on 2, beat in response to the Genji Blade. Not sure if that beat was necessary, but the extra security guarantee no one gets deleted by the enemy Genji is always nice for Washington. Fable now, Terra Surge, Amplification Matrix, beat nearly online, and swapping over to the Bastion. So the only difference in these comps is going to be the Orisa, who does have Terra Surge. Hopefully, this is Final Fight territory. They make some magic happen.
Fortunately, they're already down 2. They're going to try and throw out the Terra Surge. Unfortunately, all they will find is the respawn screen. And Washington Timeless just a couple more picks away. As overtime will tick down, and this should be the first map going over to them, and it will, as we see Jam just missing, landing on the point. Not sure he would have got very far as Mauler takes him out, but at the end of the day, Washington Timeless, they won that first fight, and from there, Just kind of was easy pickings, a huge ult, as you pointed out, from that Bastion, found Jam in rotation, and Fable just really could not recover.
Ulting in rotation is fabulous to just gain extra time because it prevents teams from moving forward, but picking up the support, specifically the Lucio, is always heartbreaking. Most Lucio players know that you are the target of a lot of people on the enemy team, and so they want to see you pass away, so to speak. And Jam was on the receiving end of that wish from Par. Now for this next map, it looks like we're going to swap out for the Soldier 76 as opposed to the Genji this time for Team Fable. Other squad, Washington Timeless, sticking with what worked. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
See if it remains unbroken in this first fight. Washington Timeless already going to get up to that point thanks to a great portal from Snores. So far, they have the high ground and are just kind of peppering damage down onto Fable. See Avery try to put some damage, but can't quite find anything. The control point opening up here in just a few moments. Nearly picked up by Fable. Par going to go into that tank form, do a decent bit of damage. No pixie yet. Snore's the first one to go down, actually. Great chance here for Fable. Maybe to rush in, take advantage of that one-man down situation. Really going to get another one onto Orion. Fable looks like they should be able to get the point here first. Can he get a couple more eliminations? Par and Sawhill both go down. And after watching Talent's got an early 10%, Fable's right back.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I am shocked that Fable came out successfully and managed to retake that fight and push it into their favor. They played very patiently, and they're running, you know, that spammy composition that wins in the longer fight comps. And so playing to that strength was very essential. They stayed on the low ground, though, as opposed to trying to fight high, because it allowed them to have more line of sight and more angles to take down Washington. Washington had no choice but to meet them on point, and all they had to do is keep walking and keep doing damage in rotation to make sure that they were able to be successful. Now we do see Washington has swapped over to the JQ, Kiriko, Lucio, Genji composition. So we have Jotes online for Washington Timeless.
See if Washington Timeless will be able to make some noise. Fable, after a quick map 1, early control here, nearing that 50% mark. Sawhill takes a decent bit of damage now, going to rush up on the point and trying to force Fable off the high ground. They'll do just that. Amelia, though, going to pick the first kill onto Snozzler once again. And it's Washington Timeless who finds himself down one person already, the second fight in a row. Will they be able to recover this time? It does not seem that way, as Amelia gets another one onto Orion. And it looks like Washington Timeless just wants to retreat and come back at full strength here. So they wait for their respawns. Orion just now coming back online, so it's still a 5v4. We get the overclock, we get the Terror Surge as well. Sound barrier in response from the Mauler, but it's not enough. I think it only landed onto themselves as well. And that'll be a win for Fable, and they might be close to winning this because Washington Timeless is still scattered.
The ults are favoring Washington Timeless at this point. They could theoretically win this next fight. Not caster cursing anything, I'm saying theoretically. However, Fable is doing a fabulous job of playing to their composition strengths. Washington Justice, like I said, they're very explosive. They have to use cooldowns and abilities to take space. And when that happens, Fable sees it, they back off. They give up space and they retake. However, we do see Jam go down, so that leaves just the Ahri to do heals. We see Orisa also goes down. However, that was Kitsune Rush. And yeah, only Kitsune Rush used by Orion for Washington Justice to be victorious in that one. So we still have Rampage, Overclock, as well as Genji Blade coming out for Washington in this next fight, whereas Fable has nothing in the banks right now as far as ultimates. And you can see Washington Justice already realizes they can't give up space. They cannot allow Fable to get into this walkway without taking damage, without forcing cooldowns. We hear shout, there goes the Genji Blade. Will it be enough? It will, but at the price of Par's life.
So far, they're trading 2 for 2 with the overclock used by Snozzlord to pick up a couple. But no real ground gained is still a win for Washington Timeless because they are in control of the point. A couple of ults blown, Sawhill still sitting on theirs, but Fable, they just haven't been able to get ult charge ready. They're still, everyone except Amelia, below 80%. And that's not what they want going into this next fight.
Hopefully someone realizes that Sawhill has this Rampage online, cuts through the middle of the team like a knife, takes out the Immortality Field, takes down Bat. Most likely this is going to be a reset for Team Fable. No, they got on! They left their Bat to die. They said, let's trade the backlines. Avery goes down for Team Fable. But if they play Ring Around the Rosie enough, they can theoretically play touch and go on this point till their team comes back. Amelia is gonna pick up the Lucio for Washington. And here comes Captive Sun. Oh, the Suzu though.
Sun, not able to find anything. But the biggest thing, even though Fable not able to win that fight, they stopped Washington Timeless from getting percent. Washington Timeless should easily be at 99 right now, Nerdy. Instead, they're just at 80 and still slowly working their way up. That was a huge backdoor cap for Fable. Now they're going to have 3 ults going into this next fight. Washington will have 2 with potentially the Dragon Blade coming online if Par is able to stay alive long enough. Up over 90% now. Fable knows they have to go in. Tac Visor going to be used. Sound Barrier and Knute Rush going to be popped in exchange as well. So both supports for Washington Timeless going to pop their ults, and that's all Washington needs. They pick up 5. It's a team kill. And it's map 1 to Washington Timeless.
That map was extremely close. Fable played to their strength of their composition very nicely, especially on this second map. If only map 1 favored the more spammy compositions, unfortunately, University, the brawl comp that was brought out by Washington Timeless was just too strong to conquer. We can see here the Kiriko, Orion getting the POTG. It's not quite the 4K with the Captive Sun, but the Kitsune Rush and just deciding, yeah, my team's fine. They don't need me to do a little extra healing. Lucio, you can take care of it. I'm going to go delete the backline.
Hey, that backline trade though did almost cost Washington Timeless, where they win the fight, they're feeling good, and they're like, wait, why does it say overtime up there? That was a great attempt by Fable to try and backdoor. I think Fable kind of realized, like, this is all we've got. We're down ult, so a really good recovery from Fable, but unfortunately, we do see Control go 2-0 in favor of Washington Timeless, and it just felt like every time Fable was on the doorstep of winning a fight, Washington Timeless had the answer.
They did, and plus the entire composition swap that they did was very smart. It played to their strengths. They struggled a little bit early on, like, let's be honest. After they made that initial swap, I think there was 1 or 2 engages where they just all got deleted, but they were doing it more to stack the ability, stack the ultimates, because once you start getting that ult advantage, you can keep it going as long as you're smart about your ult usage, and that's exactly what they did. They played outside in space. They forced back Fable because Fable needs those longer fights. They knew that they needed to have that target focus, and in conjunction with the ultimate abilities, plus the target focus, they came out on top. Now, is that going to be the same when we go into the hybrid point? Not entirely positive. It's a bit harder to be on defense, to be on offense, and be on defense and make hot swaps for your full composition, because odds are 1 or 2 people are going to die. You do a soft reset, people back off, so only a couple people can swap. So we'll have to wait and see who ends up being on defense first and who's able to counter swap the hardest, I guess, in this next matchup.
Yeah, and I think the point you made about watching Timeless, that really was why they won that second map in particular, was just how well they managed their ults, right? They had 4 ults, and they didn't use all 4 right away. It was, we used 1, we won a team fight. They got 2 or 3 team fights out of those 4 ultimates as opposed to getting 1, and that's where Fable kept being like, can we please have an ult? Like, please, the check marks keep staying there for Washington Timeless, and we're not verified yet. You know, we're not verified on X. We don't have our check marks. We're just waiting. So, and that's really where it felt like, I think Fable for those last 3 fights had 1 ultimate used, and Washington Timeless had 6 or 7, and that was where, as you said, they comp swamped. They immediately got on board. After a couple of rough starts, they were able to pull away. But we'll see for Fable, right? Because this is kind of how our first series went. 1 team gets stomped on Control. The second map's better than the first map. But then they really make Hybrid a very, very close map, did Demeter. So maybe Fable has a Hybrid map they really like. Again, as we mentioned, it does go Control, Hybrid, and then Flashpoint. So those teams that are really good at cart push maps are like, hey, what the heck? So maybe that's Fable's condition. We'll have to see when we get to our next map.
I mean, I feel like some of these hybrid maps are a little bit easier than others, and when it comes to difficulty ceilings, especially just based off of like what we've seen thus far, I think Numbani is kind of touch and go for some teams. If you're really strong on your dive compositions and you're on attack first, yeah, Numbani is fine, but if you're not as confident in your ability to, you know, target call 1, 2, 3 on targets and making sure that you're cleaning up quickly, especially with dive comps, Numbani might be a stay away from this one map. Also, there's other opportunities to have to force more spammy compositions on other maps. I mean, can you do spam on Numbani, which is the map we just saw in our previous series? Yes. Is it liked by a lot of teams? Yeah. Can you do some funky stuff on Numbani, such as the Bastion Symmetra TP? Yes, but it takes a lot of coordination. So if we see Numbani again, I anticipate that if our side of Fable is still on defense, is on defense, they'll have the opportunity to play their spam comp and possibly play it just a bit better than they did here in map 1. And you can see here, we're mainly focused on Sawhill, who was on that Reinhardt, and then into the JQ. Definitely favor those brawl-heavy compositions from Washington Timeless. They're just going to make swaps to a different form of a brawl comp, it seems like. So if Fable starts to recognize that, hopefully they can be a little bit more successful in this next map.
In map 2, I mean, you can see there, Fable had the early lead, just could not quite find the team fights again. Just great job by Washington Timeless spacing out their ultimates, and then all it took was 2 support ults in that final fight. Mauler and Orion, they both throw their ults, and it was just a quick cleanup from there. As so far in Control, we're 2 for 2 on support player of the games. Again, as you said, this is not quite the 4K we saw in our first Control map of the day, but glad to see the supports are getting some love here. You know, I'm glad to see the support pop off so far. We'll have to see what map 2 for our Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2 between Fable and Washington Timeless. I believe 2 teams in that upper half. I want to say Washington Timeless was number 1 in the standings. I think Fable was like 4 or 5. So 2 of the stronger teams coming into this Minor 2. Maybe, you know, a little bit of an early preview what the playoffs might have in store, but right now Fable's got to figure it out. They got to say, okay, how do we stop what Washington Timeless is doing? Because right now, we talked about it in the intro already, Washington Timeless, you bring the logo, you bring the name, all the pressure's on. What did they do? They answered it, no problem.
Well, at least in map 1 so far, and they technically in their first series that was not on broadcast, they answered as well because they are currently 1-0 in the series, just like Fable is. So Fable obviously is here to play as well, but I mean, the one thing I want to talk about a little bit is currently in the competitive scene, there's a thing that's being referred to as the support drought. And I feel like possibly that's going to come to an end here very soon as some DPS players start realizing, so you're saying the only thing I don't only have to heal, or like my healing is now just an ability, it's not my primary thing I have to do. Yes, it kind of has been that way for a hot minute. You look at heroes such as Zenyatta, you have an Orb of Harmony, but you have Transcendence as well. However, you deal a disgusting amount of damage. You have Baptiste, who can do both damage and healing simultaneously. We're not going to talk about Moira as much just because there's a lot of people who have very strong opinions about Moira. Kiriko, you go in the back line, you make sure you have Swift Step online so that you can go back there, do some damage, maybe get an elimination, Swift Step back out. Guess what? You just deleted someone while your team was, you know, doing something else. And then you have Iari, who has healing abilities, but your primary fire is damage. Like, the support drought's got to end soon with the way these supports are being changed over to be support ability heroes, but the ability to add value by killing others being so strong.
Well, we do see that we are headed back to Numbani, Nerdy. It does look like if there's strong opinions, at least from Fable, those are positive, strong opinions on Numbani, so we'll see what they have in store. Again, it is first to 2 wins. We go Control, Hybrid, Flashpoint. If we do end up with a tie on Hybrid, we will have Push as our tiebreaker as well. So potentially 4 maps in store. We'll see if Fable, what they could do on Numbani. Based off what you've seen, do you have an early lean for these 2 teams on how you think these early fights on Numbani are going to go?
Well, all things considered, Fable is the one to pick maps, so theoretically speaking, they are on offense first. However, sometimes teams are like, no, you got to pick the map, but we still want offense first. So there's a slim chance, I'm gonna say like 5% that Washington Timeless is on offense first. So if we're gonna run with the odds being in favor of Fable being on offense, I do not believe they're gonna run the exact same composition we just saw with just slight variations on the DPS. I think we're going to see a very heavy shift over towards a more dive-heavy composition. And as I'm saying that, it looks like both teams are going to go with Sigma spam comps instead. So this is playing for the long fight, playing for the angles, and swinging on those 1-2-3s when your Sigma has shield up and ready to go.
We will have to see.
Unless we're getting baited.
We might be getting baited. Never underestimate the player's ability to bait the casters. You get them all excited, and then you just say, oh, that's not what we were looking for. But so far, hold our breath. I think we are correct. It will be Washington Timeless attacking. Again, Fable trying to extend this series. Washington Timeless picking up the first win here. Trying to set up a strong defense so far, waiting to see where Washington want to attack from. So far from early damage trade, nothing too crazy. Tank form going to be popped by Par. Pump in some early damage from that high ground. Get a kill onto that Torbjorn turret to at least soften up the pressure. Par really just eliminating everything that isn't a player, as they're able to take out that healing sentry as well for Panther. And it's Avery who actually picks up the first kill. Immortality Field going to be taken out. Par, though, will trade it back with a kill onto Amelia in that tank form, now running away. But without their Sigma, I think Washington Timeless are just trying to look for a pick and then run.
Oh.
McMahon able to get another, and that'll be an early reset for Washington Timeless.
All right, I'm looking at the ER. Nope, no swaps yet for Washington Timeless. They're sticking. Oh, Snozzler able to pick off Amelia. Unfortunately, we were not privy to that showdown that was occurring. So Washington Timeless is already up one. Example of overstaying your welcome, but actually it was not. Snozzler decided to go into the deep and all the way to spawn to make sure they got that elimination. So it's pseudo 1v1, 4v4 for a little bit. Snozzler makes the return. Avery goes down. McMahon goes down as well. Looks like this fight is going to favor Washington Timeless.
Yeah, without Amelia there, fortunately, Fable's defense just kind of fell apart. As you said, a great pick from Snozzler going deep into enemy territory. Sniper now doing the same thing. As that objective will capture, and we'll see how far they can go with the payload. Early ult online here for the Mauler if he wants to drop that Ant Matrix. Unfortunately, he is on cart duty, so really no ults available for Washington Timeless in this fight until this cart rounds the corner.
I mean, if you think about it, in most cases, the Baptiste player is your main support, and they are typically the Lucio, so it means you are payload princess, resident shopper, some teams like to call it, asking people what they want from the store. But we're about to round the corner. We're going to drop Ant Matrix. That's going to force everyone back out of this entire lane around the bus for safety. Response with their own amp, and there is a soldier visor. However, in the lift, soldier's going to get deleted.
Double visor as well. Snozzler duplicated onto the soldier. Now Snozzler trying to get a pick here. We do see the captive son going out from Z Panther. Fortunately, not able to result in much of a kill. We do see the artillery coming out as well here from Par. Gonna pick up a kill on the Jam. It's a massive pick, and Washington Timeless just kind of shoving forward.
We have Sojourn trying to make it out alive. Ended up getting hit with rock, used the slide, manages to make it, but that's always risky. It's like, do I go in and just int to get myself reset with my team? Do I try to make it out and stagger myself if I don't fully make it out? Amelia, thankfully, got the better of the two options. If you're a Fable fan and manages to make it out alive, point has been locked. We now have nearly 5 minutes for Washington Timeless to close the gap between point 2 and the final checkpoint.
And Orion still has that captive son, and as we've seen already, you've got to be aware if you are Fable. They do have that Gravitic Flux for Avery available. Tank form from Par, trying to put out as much damage as possible. Avery is going to use that Gravitic Flux, but a great Immortality Field from the Mauler will keep the whole team alive. And now they get a pick onto Avery from Sniper, and they're just going to slowly push forward. Orion going to pick up another one, and Fable now just being pushed further and further back into the spawn. The Gravitic Flux online for Sniper, but he might not even need it, as right now, unfortunately, Fable's just stuck in the base trying to look for a safe spot. We do see McMahon here trying to do anything to keep the team alive, but just nothing. They were stuck in spawn. That's all Washington Timeless needed.
The first fight favored Fable very nicely. They did get the initial elimination onto the enemy Sigma, and then it was just cleanup. However, the next fight, don't know what changed, whether the target focus, priority, or ability usage from Washington Timeless just got a little bit more honed in. From there on out, it really seemed like they were the ones taking the reins of all of the fights and remaining in control. Perhaps we'll see Fable, as we go into their attack phase, change things up a little bit, or we're just going to see a mirrored composition again, but the mirror matchup seems to be favoring Washington more than it is favoring Team Fable.
And I don't think after that first fight around the bend, I don't think we really even saw a team fight, Nerdy. It was just pick here, a couple picks here, a couple picks here, everyone's in spawn, carts on the point, let's go next. I mean, it just felt like Fable was never able really to match Washington Timeless on equal footing. It was always 5v4, 4v2, 4v3. And as you've talked about several times so far today, it's about not overstaying your welcome. It's about not dying to try and get that pick, because that's why Fable just kind of got run down.
And we can see that Fable, trying to rectify their mistakes, is going with a different composition. Instead, they're going with that Wrecking Ball dive comp. That Echo, I almost said Pharmacy. The Echo Mercy is going to be able to take angles, take attention. and then Wrecking Ball is going to be able to get in, get slams, but the question is Wrecking Ball going to get heavily punished from a Sigma Rock and then ending up getting deleted by Par in the Bastion turret form? We'll have to wait and see. This really comes down to target focus and making sure that you get in and get out promptly if you're playing Wrecking Ball.
Avery dropping lower, lower, and lower. That health bar hanging on by a thread, and the Mauler will pick up the first kill. Not the start you were hoping for. If you're a Fable fan or a Fable player, your tank's already down. You don't have space that you can take. You don't have a great way to siege the high ground onto someone like Par, onto someone like Snozlar. You just have to basically wait for a reset.
The one good thing, though, about Avery being on Wrecking Ball is Wrecking Ball gets back fast. It's kind of like Doomfist in the old days where your ball goes in and you're like, hey, I took XYZ cooldowns, now go in, and everyone's like, but you're dead. It's like, no, go in. I'll be back by the time you're a bid fight. It's all good.
We're still waiting for that Fable engage. Avery is back, but already at 50%. Should be able to be healed up here, but right now all of the damage and all of the pressure being applied by Washington Timeless. Snozlar and Sniper going to combine for a pair of eliminations. Avery does get one back on to Par. Open up the high ground just a little bit for Fable, but the problem is they're running out of bodies that are alive as they all have to reset.
Sniper did a very bold move and gave up high ground, dropped down to mid to fight Fable head on in this alleyway near the Mega Pack, probably recognizing, as you mentioned, that Avery got very low. They were sub 50% health by the time Sniper got into Fable's full frontline space, and then they were just able to start deleting people one by one. That just shows the confidence right now that Washington Timeless has, not only in each other, but in their ability to confirm these eliminations.
They get Amelia very low. Hanzo able to survive. Still a 5v5 for now. The Valkyrie going to be popped by Jam, but the healing is just not enough. Amelia going to go down. You can see Avery at 50% as well as the Mauler's going to pick up a kill onto the other support, and now it's just the Wrecking Ball alive, and Fable resets. It's still time for 2 or 3 more attacks, but they're just not making any progress.
We do have Dragon's Echo copy. Nano, Jam did use Valkyrie during the last fight, so no Valk, but we also are very close to landmines coming out from Avery. Theoretically, if McMahon gets a good copy, is able to get that ultimate, we could see possibly a copy onto the Sigma, see a Flux in conjunction with Dragons would be absolutely crazy. We see Par get deleted, Nano Boost given over to that Echo. Echo copies Ana in the backline, takes the 1v1. Snozlar is going to be the one to come out on top of that support duel. Avery manages to find the Baptiste, and Orion is down too, so Snozlar, the only support, no longer a support. Back to Echo.
McMahon is going to be able to pick up the Echo as we go under a minute left. Minefield going to be dropped here by Avery, just trying to buy time for the team. They weren't quite able to get a single tick onto the payload. McMahon dropping to 12 HP, able to find that health pack. Tac buys are going to be used, and now Fable is kind of split. You have McMahon and Avery on one side of the point, the rest of the team on the other, closer to spawn. They're going to maybe have to try and combine here for a last-second attack. 30 seconds left. Dragon Strike from Amelia is going to go out. It is on the low ground, though, so not quite able to do nearly as much damage as I think Fable needed, as Orion's going to pick up a pair of eliminations for themselves. They get 3 in a row for the support. Snozlar punches one more, and I think that's about all Fable is going to be able to muster here.
10 seconds? I don't know. Avery... Oh, Avery should be able to get a touch in, knows the rollout, gets in, gets the touch, has to use their E. Shields come online, they unfortunately get deleted. We do have Snozlar swapping over to Tracer to come back to make sure they're here for their team. Tracer also swap over on Team Fable, but not enough speed, not enough time. Washington Timeless will come out victorious in our second series of today.
And what a defensive clinic for Washington Timeless. Barely any touches on that point for Fables. We do see Snozlar able to pick up that player of the game. It just felt like we never got a cohesive attack from Fable. We saw the nano go off, and I think it faded before McMahon was even able to get the duplicate off. Washington Timeless said, you pick the map, we're going to send you to the next round with a loss, because it felt like nothing Fable could do.
And you were right that during the attack phase for Team Fable, it felt a little discombobulated. Sometimes, though, that is how that comp plays. It seems very all over the place. It is a lot of trying to split attention and then play cleanup crew, but it relies heavily on understanding when you're going in, who your target is, what the goal is of that engage. Is it to get cooldowns, or is it to actually get an elimination? It's just Washington Timeless knew what the strategy was and they played to their strengths. There was a lot of times where they took very bold positioning because they knew that even if the job was to get, say in this instance, Sniper eliminated, Sniper knew my supports are on high ground. Your option is to get me or get one of my supports. Odds are you're going after me. And here is Sahil, the other tank that we saw coming out for Washington Timeless, who played the more brawly heavy tanks, JQ and Reinhardt popping off, as well as Par, who was on that Genji Bastion throughout the series. Amelia, fabulous job from Team Fable, did a great job in this Sojourn. It just wasn't quite enough to give them the leg up in the series.
And you make a great point in the fact that, any team will tell you that opens it up when you have a sub. We're like, all right, hey, look, Sahil, you can play tank on control. We're going to bring Sniper in depending on map choice on hybrid, and it's going to make the comp just flow better. When everybody's online and you have that flexibility that one player doesn't need to know every tank, they only need to know a couple. You have another player who can know the other few. That just shows why Washington Timeless came into this as the top team. They are the #1 team going into the next round with a win here because they feel so flexible. I mean, we saw Snozlar duplicate onto the Ana and just pop off for like a double kill basically as a support on the Echo. It was absolutely insane. This team feels completely in command right now, and I'll be curious to see where they end up at the end of this Swiss weekend because, so far, I know we've only seen 2 games, and we haven't seen the other 14 teams, but this team just felt like they were on a different level from the other teams we've seen so far.
Definitely a well-oiled machine, and we mentioned it earlier that sometimes teams don't go the hardest they possibly can in the early rounds, but some teams, they're like, we're here to win and we're going to demonstrate it from game 1. They go hard or go home, so to speak, style gameplay, and they play borderline perfectly. Washington was very successful on both of these maps, played to their strengths, and just highlighting, as you mentioned earlier, having the ability to sub players out, having more than one player per role is great because roster depth not only takes a lot of pressure off of some players, it allows you the ability to make changes on the fly to better fit what you're going up against if you're unsuccessful on a map, or knowing your team's strengths and making the swaps as needed to be successful on each map. Case in point being Sniper and Sawhill subbing in and out on tank.
Or, as we saw from Konoichi, if your player has a tummy ache, also a great way, just, hey, a tummy hurts, put somebody else in. So, yeah, I think Washington Timeless, they look very strong. And again, for Fable, it looks like they did kind of fit that mold that you were talking about before the series started, where it's like, let's play something a little bit more off meta. That's what we saw in New Bonnie. It just kind of, as you pointed out, there was some maybe lack of understanding. I thought they had some goods and some bads. It just, maybe if you're going to go off meta, this was a good match, right? You kind of get punched in the mouth and you say, okay, this is what we need to do better. This is what the top team does to counter us. So I think this is a huge learning opportunity from Fable, and I would not be shocked if next weekend we're seeing Fable in the playoff because this felt like a strong team. They maybe just needed that, like, okay, this is how teams counter us now. Where do we go from there?
Yeah, and that comp that they rolled out on is not one that I'm unfamiliar with. It's a slight variation on one that is sometimes referred to as an untouchable comp, and typically you run that Echo, you run Mercy, you can run a Lucio, but more people feel comfortable on playing a Kiriko in that instance. You run Ball and you run Tracer. The idea is that you are so fast, you have so much movement, that you're able to get in, get eliminations, and get out, hence the name Untouchable. So we'll have to see if there's any adjustments made on that composition for Fable going into the future, but they'll have plenty of VOD review opportunities for the remainder of the day using not only the first one of the day and this match against Washington Timeless, but the other maps that they have as well going forward with other teams.
I would say Washington Timeless played the unmovable comp because they didn't move off the point. They were just there for 4 minutes playing defense. It was like trying to push a 1,000-ton boulder. They were just sitting there like, okay, you're over there, cool. I'm just going to let you run around, do your speed thing. Okay, you're over there, cool. And they just didn't move. So, again, I think, as you said, this will be huge for both these teams. Again, we have one more Swiss round to go. Also, potentially may have an interview from this game as well here, Nerdy. But so far, I'd say nobody's really shown any nerves, though, right? We haven't seen any of those crazy plays. Somebody falls off the map, like, oh, it's just a stream pressure. I think that's one thing always got to look out for when you're on the stream is, did the pressure get to them? And so far, I'd say our players all look like they're ready to go. They're seasoned vets at this, it looks like.
You just brought back some bad memories that were very funny for me during the last major. Ironically, on Numbani, And no hard feelings, but my teammate fell off the map, and we were not having a great day. But all of us, it was a great way to end the day because we just ended up laughing. It was great because we didn't have the depth roster advantage that these teams have. We had 2 subs in and people off rolling. So it was a rough start, rough day, and we had a teammate fall off the map. And it was both comical and heartwarming to know that, like, these players across all these teams, there are going to be mistakes made like that, and the ability to laugh it off is the most important thing, and just stay confident and keep playing to your strengths is hopefully what we'll continue to see for the remainder of this series and this broadcast.
Well, we do have an interview coming up, but before we do that, we are going to take a break. When we come back, hopefully we're going to talk to someone from the Washington Timeless as they move to 2-0, but you don't want to miss any of it. We still got one more game here left as well on the stream for the Calling All Heroes Unite Minor number 2, and it's coming up right after this break. Welcome back to the Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2, Fish and Nerdy here. We just got done with our second game, Washington Timeless taking a 2-0 win over Fable. And joining us on the interview here to talk about that win is Sniper. Of course, Sniper, big shout out to you and your team to start with, but walk me through the role that you play on the team. Nerdy and I were talking about it before the break. We saw Sawhill in that first map. You come in, kind of cold off the bench, absolutely dominate. So did you know you were getting the call going on to Numbani, or what did it look like from your point of view when you got the call to kind of pop off in that second game and secure the series for your team?
So me and Sawhill have 2 different roles. I mean, Sawhill is very extraordinarily good at Junker Queen, and I'm good at the Sigma, so we just decided, hey, we run this comp on Numbani, the Sigma comp, and I just roll out on Sigma on Numbani.
Okay, so my question is a little bit more about your team as a whole. There is, the new hero, Viari, which we did not really see from your squad. Is there a reason for that? Are you guys waiting to take her out, or is it the fact that on your guys' fun fact sheet, everyone listed Mercy as their favorite hero?
So with Yari, we play on Yari on some other maps. Unfortunately, we did not play on Oasis or Nimbani, or we actually played. I think we played a little bit on Nimbani at some point, but it's mainly other maps. But like we play Ayari in our poke comms, like the Sigma, but unfortunately not in our rush or anything like that.
And before we let you go, Sniper, Nerdy and I were talking about it before the game started. You have the Washington name. You have the logo. You're the #1 seed right now. Is there any pressure on this team that we have to defend all the hype we're bringing, or is it just business as usual and you're going to get it done just like we saw in that last match with the quick 2-0?
I mean, there is some pressure oriented with the Washington Timeless, but no, we're just here to do our jobs at the end of the day and trying to come out on top, per usual.
2-0 so far. Best of luck in your next round and the rest of this weekend. We hope we see you in the playoffs, Sniper. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Fish. Goodbye.
It's just no pressure, Nerdy. They're just like, no, we're going to win. Like, what kind of question is that, Fish? What do you mean? Oh, we got. They're so cool. They're so cool. I want to be that cool. I'm going to be honest. I want to be that cool.
Okay, dump thousands of hours into Overwatch to be that cool and get really good at the game so that everything to you is just a normal Overwatch match. There's no pressure. You know you're going to come out on top because that takes a lot of preparation time, a lot of trust and faith in your teammates. And honestly, I feel like most of these teams we're going to talk to today, especially the ones that are victorious, are going to be staying there calm and cool and collected just because of how much prep time, how much confidence they have, not only in themselves, but in their team as a whole. It's just how it is.
So you're telling me the book I bought on how to be cool that didn't mention Overwatch was a scam?
Yeah, most definitely.
Dang. Well, I'm going to work on that. While I work on that, though, we are going to take a quick break. We are having one more Swiss round left. We want to make sure all the teams are caught up, though. So we will take a break. When we come back, we will have round 3 of our Swiss games, the final round of the day here. We've got more tomorrow, so you don't want to miss it. But round 3 of our Swiss and our Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2 coming up with Fish and Nerdy right after this break. Welcome back to our Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2, Fish and Nerdy here, and we've got bonus coverage, actually. We told you we were kind of behind, so we're going to take you to that one game that was lagging behind in our Swiss round 2, and it'll be a team that we're familiar with, Nerdy, in Demeter. They have recovered after that early loss. Them and AE Riptide are heading up 3, so it'll also be our Flashpoint debut on the stream. We haven't seen Flashpoint yet as we take a look at these two teams getting ready to showdown in game number 3 of their round 2 series here with Demeter and Riptide. We can take a look at the rosters for both these teams. Of course, we've already seen Demeter on stream, but AE Riptide new to the scene, as we saw here, kind of how we got here with Ilios, Numbani, and now on to New Junk City.
I'm super excited to see what these teams pull out for New Junk City, and as you mentioned, we've already seen Demeter on broadcast. We know what they like to play. We know their strengths. We haven't seen Riptides on broadcast, but I have seen some of these players. I've played alongside one of the players as well. So we have Akamaru, Nari herself, Weird, Fishnet, and Gusty. Weird is one of my former teammates, and interesting enough, Weird for my team played DPS, so I'm interested to see how she performs on tank today, as this is my first opportunity to see her play any tank. Normally, she was my Echo.
No pressure, Weird. Just your former teammate judging your every movement. We'll see if you're able to handle the pressure. Of course, we have seen Demeter as well already, so hopefully they're able to maybe pick a win. Maybe just a small rooting interest for me because we already saw them. No offense, Riptide. Besides, you've got Nerdy on your corner since it is their former teammates. So we'll have to see. Again, we are heading to Flashpoint. If you are just joining us, this is not round 3. This is round 2. This is bonus coverage, as this was our one stream we were waiting on. As here we go. Maple, Holly, Blobfish, Karma, and Aurora K. We already saw them. They had a very strong performance against Konoichi. Despite the 2-0 loss, you and I felt like they had some positives going into this next round. Nerdy and Clear, they're showing it, picking up a map win, heading into a game 3. We'll have to see what gets done. I'm excited for Flashpoint making its debut on the stream. We talked about it a little bit, but why don't you give us the quick rundown, Nerdy, in case someone missed it, what they're looking for on New Junk City and Flashpoint.
Okay, so Flashpoint is Control Point on steroids, and just like with Control Point, the more players you have on the point, at least during the capture phase, the faster it goes. However, from that point onwards, as opposed to where Control, you have, you can get 3 and 4 fights before it hits 100%. You get about 2.5 here before that point will lock down to 100% if it is going to not flip and not become contested by the other team. With that being said, there's roughly 100-meter gap to close between your spawn and the Control Point until the Control Point swaps to the next one. And that gap is a large distance in the terms of Overwatch to cover, so lots of teams rely on teleports, massive movement abilities, Lucio speed boost. You could be seeing variations in Jotes. We could see the War of Attrition comp come out, but it has to be played very cleanly. Dive compositions are great. Some Metro-orientated compositions you can get silly with. You can do some very intriguing things with, and that we've seen some teams, even in the contender space, that prefer sim-based comps could come out on top and be successful on these Flashpoint maps. And there's only 2. There's Servasa and there is New Junk City, and the one that we are starting out on is New Junk City. Personally, out of the 2, I like New Junk. Servasa just has way too many accidental environmental spots that teams fall off of as opposed to getting eliminated off of. So hopefully we don't see that on New Junk City. There is about 1 point that does have it, and it's the one we're looking at right here, that back area. Some people don't realize you can fall off, and they ended up getting either javelined or booped off the point.
Well, we'll have to see if everyone can keep their feet firmly planted on the ground, or at least not fall off the edge. Again, this is round 2 of our Swiss between AE Riptide and Demeter. They are heading into map 3, and we figured, hey, why not join them here for Flashpoint on our Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2 stream. Of course, one of these teams will pick up a win, a much-needed win, with both of them, I believe, coming in at 0-1. So hoping to get that 1-1 mark, get that first win out of the way, heading into that next round. As we kick things off, and we'll see who strikes first here with the Flashpoints unlocking. Actually, looks like, never mind, we will have to do a quick restart. Here, want to make sure everything's right going into game 3, especially with everything on the line. You never want to have a small bug be the reason you start this Swiss bracket 0-2.
Yeah, anyone who's had experience since the launch of Flashpoint running scrims knows that for some reason, Flashpoint, despite having... But if you use a code that you use for every other map, when you swap to Flashpoint, it does not have the correct tank health. And some codes have managed to overwrite it and fix it. Other times you have to manually go in and change it, so it happens to almost anyone that's probably run a lobby within the last couple of weeks. It's just kind of way to point it out. Good job. At least someone noticed and they're fixing it right away. I mean, your tank will not have a good time on Flashpoint if you run the wrong code, i.e. I've seen it happen enough times at this point.
Tank, what are you're trying to tell me tanks need health?
Just a little bit.
Why? You know why? Has anyone asked why tanks need health? Huh? Maybe they're just greedy.
No, it could also be true, but yeah, as you know, I am a former tank player, so I can definitely say that if my health pool was magically halved, I might be struggling a little bit to survive and might be spending more time crying than I am doing anything in the game. So kudos to
share
pointing
some
it out.
HP with the
and
rest of us, you know? It's
yeah,
our
spread
HP,
some
not your
love.
HP. Yeah, it's not your HP, it's our HP as the team. But hopefully we've got that fixed. Hopefully we'll not have any tank players crying like Nerdy said they would. If that, I wouldn't blame you. I'd die, but doesn't feel right. But as you said, they pointed it out. We should be good to go here. Hopefully we figured out everything we need to, and these teams can resume. That always adds to the pressure, right? Like you're starting off game 3, you're like, oh, it's a bug. Let's reload. And you're just like, oh, I just want to get going. You know, I just want to start here. So hopefully nobody's a little bit too jumpy here as we get to our first flashpoint.
I'm sure they're okay. I mean, I'm saying that and realizing that this is game 3 of a best of 3, so the pressure that if we do this interview with one of these players, we might actually have the "we were a little bit nervous by the time we got to Flashpoint" response from somebody. We'll have to wait and see, and it looks like we are going with a variation on the Orisa composition coming out from Riptide. They're gonna be running the Lucio over the Iari, and then for Team Demeter, we're going to have the Reinhardt as opposed to the Orisa for that composition.
Flashpoint opens up in 10. Early trading going out as Nari dropping low for Riptide. Able to be healed back up though, so everyone will be at full strength heading into this first point with the Flashpoint unlocking right now. Tank form going to be used as Ilex will go down. Nari pumping in a ton of damage. Gonna get a kill on Orke as well. Already down 2. Demeter just gonna try and stabilize best they can. Now they lose Maple and Blobfish. And an early first fight win for AE Riptide.
Riptide has a slight advantage in the longer fights. However, that wasn't very long at all. Just pointing out that Akumaru choosing to go with the Mei over that Symmetra, it allows Akumaru to confidently swing angles with the lack of an Iari pylon or an Iari who can help you get healing from a distance, so to speak. Having that cryo freeze can extend these fights, and typically with the Bastion matchup, the Bastion that uses turret form first is going to be the least successful of the two, and Team Demeter's Bastion Ilex already used turret form, so Nari has the upper hand in that duel.
Weird's going to win the tank duel, picking off Blobfish, going to get a second onto Karma as well. This looks like it potentially is first flashpoint over to AE Riptide. You need to pick up 3 in total to win as Ilex goes down, and as we get ready to head to flashpoint number 2, it's AE Riptide with a dominating 100-0 start and a spear to the face from Weird to Maple, just to kind of cap that one off.
And you can see where the next flashpoint is about to proc, as well as the other team's former spawn. Some teams will choose to go straight to the flashpoint. Some teams choose to try and go and pick up staggers and only send one person, but without that extreme movement hero on a DPS, the ability to just send one person to point is kind of null and void, so you move as a unit instead, and that's exactly what Riptide did. They're going to use Window early on to lock down an entire angle, prevent progression forward. Ilex is going to respond using the aerial strike. Another window is going to be popped as well. We hear Beat drop and Terra Surge. Lots of ults getting dropped in hopes of coming out on top of this fight.
Ults used. There's the artillery from Nari as well. And unfortunately for Demeter, it's the same result. Maple is able to pick up a kill onto Gutsy, but flashpoint in AE Riptide's hands and another multi-kill for the team means they're well on their way to this second flashpoint, already at 25%.
Picking up the Lucio is typically extremely detrimental, but with the amount of distance that has to be crossed, and just the way that the spawns are set up, the odds of Gutsy getting picked off before Gutsy makes it back to the point on Lucio very slim. We do see Team Demeter all weighted. Karma got very low, by the way, after Karma left spawn. They do regroup, come in, TP, use the Symmetra wall. Bastion's the first target. We hear Beat get dropped. Hopefully everyone's in it, but Maple is in that cryo freeze. Beat comes in clutch to keep Maple alive.
Fortunately, AE Riptide can't survive the onslaught. Demeter able to flip this point now in their possession. 77% for AE Riptide. As he pointed out, Nerdy, it's just such a long run from your spawn back to the flashpoint. Demeter only needs to win a couple more team fights to even up this flashpoint at 1-1. Remember, it is 3 flashpoints to win. Right now, AE Riptide got the first one, looking for the second one here.
Team Demeter is playing a little bit more hesitant than I would anticipate them playing, considering they have amp speed for the ability coming from Karma, as well as Maple able to use TPs. They just gave up all of the space to Riptide and are telling them to come into their side. Bastion, Hobbs ultimate very close to the point and very close to an Orisa. Wall is going to be used. Maple burns that down with the full charge beam. Gonna teleport, try to get behind some people, make Cryo Freeze force him, use Window. Spear Spin comes forward from Blobfish, and Blobfish tries to aggress forward but does not have the pressure, gets eliminated, and now Demeter is going to start struggling without their tank.
Riptide is going to throw out that sound barrier from Gutsy to keep everyone alive for now. Blobfish trying to make it back as fast as possible. The Ilex able to get a double kill onto Neri and Weird. Demeter just holding on. They've even got this to 99%. Can they survive? But the Blizzard coming out from Akamaru as Akamaru will go down. Nari going to try and throw a last-second artillery onto the point, but it's all Ilex in this tank form. Oh, they barely survived the triple kill, but them surviving long enough. It's them, that flashpoint. That was nearly the clutchest artillery I've ever seen.
I mean, Ilex also the fight before that got a multi-kill, just decimating 3 people in a row, dropping them like dominoes, so to speak. Now we're equalized as far as the overall map score goes. We could theoretically see all 5 flashpoints if this trend continues. It is first to 3, as you mentioned earlier. Teams now looking to get in. We have Riptide, first ones to get into point and lock it down, which typically is the mark of success, but Beat and Artillery Strike might send a different message.
Here comes the stomp from Weird, able to pick up 1. Nari and Gutsy gonna follow it up. Ilex trying to be the hero that Demeter needs. Will go down after picking up a single kill, and a Riptide back in control on the back of Weird now, looking to maybe make this 30-40% before Demeter can get back.
Going into this next fight, we saw a lot of Qs get popped during that last engage. We're going to have Amplification Matrix as well as Sound Barrier coming out for the side of Riptide, but no DPS, no tank ult. For the side of Demeter, they're going to have Maple's Wall as well as the Amplification Matrix from Rourke. Hopefully they're able to get some picks, but they're funneling into one spot, looking for an opportunity to place Teleporter. Possibly just a distraction. Wall and Amp both used. Amp in response and Beat from Riptide. Now it comes down to the war of attrition yet again.
Immortality field for Fishnet gonna go on cooldown. Might be a chance here for Demeter to find a pick. Akubaru now on this Genji, dropping to about 15-20%. Able to stabilize though. Health bars for Riptide barely surviving. They trade kill for kill with Nari and Rourke going down. The 4v4, Riptide's health bars just do not have the sustain they need. They pick up a couple of kills. But at the end of the day, it's Demeter who should finish this off and at least flip the flashpoint before it hits that 99% mark.
Going into the next fight, we do have the Terra Surge coming online, Beat, as well as Artillery Strike for Team Demeter. And Akamaru, who made a hot swap over to the Genji, almost has Blade, and we'll have Artillery Strike from Nari in this next fight. Theoretically, if this lasts as long as it did, but Demeter stays in control of the point, we could see this hit 99-99, and we're opening with Artillery Strike to try to force some cooldowns, and a response Artillery Strike from Ilex just to equalize the playing field a bit. Atis gets dangerously low, Blade comes out, Beat and Immortality both used simultaneously. Akamaru is eviscerated by the supports.
Ilex's HP, you could barely see it as Karma goes down. Now Ilex will go down. The Terra Surge from Blobfish, not able to find anyone. Just try to force AE Riptide back. Blobfish holding on. They will fall as well. Maple and company at least trying to hold this point, stop it from flipping. It will, however, flip, and with the respawns, I don't even think there's a shot Demeter gets back. That's easy. Second flashpoint for AE Riptide, and now they're looking to finish off not only the map, but the series here as we go to the fourth one.
Rotating as a full unit, Akamaru still on this Genji. I'm interested to see if Akamaru, no offense, but Genji Blade's notorious for being an all or nothing, kind of like Deadeye in some instances. We do have V and Terra Surge coming in for Riptide. We're going to have a Window and Wall coming out from Team Demeter. So theoretically, Demeter has the longer sustain ability, but their wall window has not worked. Thankfully, they're only pulling out window right now, looking to use the wall later. They do get Fishnet, and Baptiste going bye-bye. Not a good sign for Team Riptide.
Yeah, it looks like Riptide maybe chose to just kind of wait this one out. Nari going to go down as well. So 2 picks means this point, at least at the start, is all Demeters. We'll wait for Riptide to run back. The Riptide does have the ult advantage. Nerdy, what are you looking for in this next fight from both of our teams?
I mentioned it earlier that I kind of want to see a Captive Sun Terra Surge, but it'd also be really cool to see a Terra Surge Artillery Strike. However, you have to make sure window is full. Well, Immortality is forced out first. They know that they don't have beat or beat or Immortality at that point. We do see Rourke is going to go down, so it's an opportunity, but there's really no need to pull out both those ultimates considering Alex is gone, Maple's gone. This is just a clean fight win here for Riptide.
Weird walked in, dropped the Terra Surge, and that's all Riptide needed. They'll flip the point at a nice 69%. And Demeter, this is your round life. You could be staring at O2 in the face. You need to find a way to win this flashpoint, and unfortunately, you don't have any ultimates online, and you're walking into an artillery. And Nari's going to do it right on the signal here. Not quite able to get a kill, but able to pick up a decent chunk of damage. That's going to force Demeter back and just kill time.
Kills time, possibly forced out an early Immortality. I'm not sure if Fishnet actually used it though, which would be to their advantage. So we see another Artillery Strike get dropped all over the left elbow, trying to get some damage and force that cooldown again. We have Immortality get poshed by Fishnet for the side of Riptide. They also use Ant Matrix at the same time. Karma and Blobfish both have ults. Work is very close to ultimate as well. If Demeter can pop these advantageously here, forcing back the enemy team like they are, boxing them into a corner, they have the opportunity. There's the Terra Surge. They get Fishnet. Can they find the Lucio? Oh, Lucio gets so close. Karma goes down. Blobfish goes down. Nari, undeterred by the lack of health, getting a 2-piece.
Demeter does flip it. I think Riptide's gonna have a chance to touch though, potentially. 90%. Will anyone from a Riptide get in range? I think they actually decided we're gonna fight point 5. Put it all on the line here. Winner picks up their first win here. Loser, unfortunately, drops to 0-2 here as we head to Flashpoint 5.
I mean, if there ever is a map to end things on, to give it your best, it is gotta be Flashpoint. I mean, 2-2 demonstrates why these teams are so close right now in this entire series. It all boils down to this last 100%, last checkpoint. You've been going toe-to-toe. Who's going to get that 1 extra inch necessary? We've seen very little swaps, the only exception being Akamaru, who said, I have more success on Genji here. Is that Genji swap going to be the make or break? Nari piling damage into this small area, follows up with the grenade, Immor forced. Nari finds Ilex, Akamaru goes down to Maple, accidentally going into the tiny room. Beat is used as well. Point is unlocked, but no one's going for it yet because they got to win the fight first.
That fight is going to go to a Riptide, and they will start the 5th Flashpoint in control of it. Remember, winner of this Flashpoint not only wins the map, they win the round as well in this Swiss format. Demeter and AE Riptide sitting at 0-1 after round 1, so a win would be massive. 20% on the point. Artillery Strike from Nari going to come out. Nari's had a couple of fantastic artilleries. This one, unfortunately, not going to find much but dust. We'll see what Demeter has in response. Photon Barrier is going to go down. Rourke has the window as Fishnet will drop their own amplification matrix. We are going to drop the Terra Surge, able to pick up a kill on Rourke as well as that Immortality field. And without Rourke, without the Immortality field, Demeter will simply fall over.
And that is 66% now in favor of Team Riptide. At this rate, we are looking at what is final fight territory, not only for this map, this point, but for this series as well. Riptide could walk away victorious if Team Demeter cannot get these ultimates to work out in their favor. Ilex has got to use this Artillery Strike wisely and force that Immortality sooner rather than later. Instead, drops it on the Lucio and the Bastion. doesn't find much but a little bit of damage. Maple swaps over to Tracer to make the early touch. Might actually flip the point. It works, but now they have to clean this up, and they are using a Tracer as opposed to going with the Symmetra.
Oh, speaking of kill ults, though, Blobfish able to pick up 2 with the Terra Surge. And at least for now, the Tracer swap works for Maple, able to touch the point, able to flip it even, but every fight you have to win, especially as you talked about, with how far of the run it is from the spawn, over 100 meters, there is really no chance to stagger. You have to find a way to win the next 2 or 3 fights. They do have the sound barrier online with Karma, so an early pick onto that Lucio would be huge for AE Riptides. They're going to hop on that point, going up higher and higher, already at 60%. Maple potentially looking for a flank. This would be a huge pick. Are they able to find it? Yes, they are. On to Nari. That is massive. Meanwhile, though, Weird does take out Rourke, so it's a 4v4. Weird going to pick up another one, though. The tank for AE Riptide does not want to let this team go home. Point at 86% and climbing. Sound barrier from Karma going to come out as Akumaru picks up one before going down. It's just so many bodies scattered all over the point. You called it, Dirty. It's 99-99. Flashpoint 5. Who is going to blink first? And it's going to be Demeter as Weird picks up yet another kill. They're going to try and touch as best they can. Ilex swapping to the soldier, sprinting onto the point, barely surviving. But Weird and Nari come through in the end, and it's AE Riptide who picks up map 5 and picks up their first win of our Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2.
That was intense, and holy cow, Flashpoint is ridiculous. It has such long lulls, but such intense fights. We're going to see Weird coming in with the play of the game. Terra Surge picks up 1. They quickly follow up with helping take out Maple. They get the solo onto Ilex. Gutsy also got some damage in there as well. Most likely a little bit of help from the Orisa in that instance too. Nonetheless, play of the game goes to a tank finally, as opposed to a support player like we've seen the majority of today.
And, I mean, no offense to anyone else on Riptide, but maybe the most deserving player, because it was Weird in that final fight, who I think got 3 or 4 eliminations that flipped that 99-99 fight in a Riptide's favor. But we couldn't have asked for a better introduction to Flashpoint, I think, for the stream. A 5 Flashpoint, 99-99. Like, what else could you have wanted? The team's duking it out. You even got a late touch there, I believe, from Ilex on Soldier trying to sprint back in. I mean, Demeter gave it everything they could, but in the end, it's an AE Riptide win, and a big congratulations to them getting that first win. Always a big one here, as you only have so many more rounds in the Swiss to try and qualify for those playoffs.
Also, can we talk about like Maple making that swap over to Tracer? And I think that swap really helped them on that last point, get a few eliminations, take attention. Like, Maple popped off on the Tracer. It's just sometimes you make the call to swap a little bit too late, and that's detrimental. Just having confidence in the, I don't think I'm finding as much value as I normally can get. I need to play something else. Recognizing that sooner and having the confidence to say, no, I need to swap is really huge. And hopefully we see that learning curve surmounted by these teams earlier on, going into the next game that we have, our last game of the day, as well as into next weekend, as we have different casters tomorrow, but you and I can still at least observe as we're looking at some of the pop-off moments. Ilex on this Bastion, like I said, gets a 2-piece, got a 3-piece, but Nari aerial strike picked up 2. The Bastions were huge playmakers on this map for sure.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think maybe my favorite part of this whole map was the Ilex versus Nari battle. Just of, you know, who's going to win. I think both of them popped off, as you said. It was, I couldn't have asked for a better map for Flashpoint to make its debut, a better series, really, for it to make its debut.
Hopefully we get to see a little bit more demonstrating how equal in skill and prowess these players are as our series continue and as our entire tournament continues. But for now, only one team can be victorious. And honestly, if you're going to lose, losing on the third map is better than losing after the second map. I mean, that's my opinion, but it shows that you really fought hard for your opportunity to get this win, but so did the other team, and that is just they had one little piece of the puzzle that you didn't have, or there was one mistake that they didn't make that you made that ended up putting them on top. But nonetheless, both teams fought insanely hard, and this was a fabulous opportunity to see what both teams were able to bring to the table.
I'm totally with you. I think you know, no one likes to lose, but the best loss is last map, last point, 99-99, as you can see on the screen right now. It shows that you put everything on the table. If you are Demeter, you as you said, maybe it was Maple swapping to that Tracer a little bit earlier. Small little things, but you gave it your all. And again, I think there's still plenty of time to meter. Looks like a team that, again, as we talked about, maybe the 0-2 start, you could have faced other teams that are 0-2. You kind of work your way up, kind of rise again as a Phoenix, and maybe Demeter makes this historic run into our final game and in our tomorrow Swiss games, and we see them once again. But what a fantastic bonus coverage we got there. That wasn't even our last game of the day. We still have one more left here in our Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2. It is round 3 of the Swiss. Well, you know who we're seeing and what that game's going to be right after this break. Welcome back in to our Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2. Fish and Nerdy here as we get ready for Swiss Round 3, our final Swiss bracket of today. We'll have more rounds tomorrow, Nerdy. I think it's always good to kind of refresh in case someone just popped in. Kind of what's going on here with our Calling All Heroes. And, of course, I've been blessed by someone whose fingerprints are all over this. I can't count the number of times off-screen Nerdy's been like, hey, I played with that person. Hey, that's my former teammate. Hey, I know that person. Hey, they play with me against me in comp, and they've either destroyed me or I've destroyed them. So why don't you tell us, Nerdy, a little bit about what is going on here with our Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2?
Okay, so this is a marginalized gender / underrepresented gender a tournament meant to bring in players to give them an opportunity to pop off, show off, and shine. Of course, in this tournament, it's not like we're playing for nothing. You're not just playing for quote-unquote exposure. You are playing for the opportunity to move up and get closer and closer to claiming that bag. There's a $5,000 total prizing pool, and on top of that, each player for these teams, based off of your standing in this minor, will be rewarded what are known as circuit points. The circuit points are rewarded individually to players on the roster, and then you can carry over those circuit points to join a different team. The top 5 players, based off circuit points per team, the sum of those circuit points determine the team's circuit points. You can see here the circuit point breakdown for first all the way through 13th and 16th place, and the top amount of circuit points over 2,000, and the lowest being 250 per player. With that being said, there's a lot on the line here when it comes to this, because I mean, you got let's just be honest here. We've got Washington Timeless, i.e. the Washington Justice Squad pulling up with some Timeless. They have some players coming in from players that were on the NYXL Academy team as well during the last major. This is your opportunity to get spotted, to be put on these teams. And honestly, we've seen a lot of not only great players, but we've seen a lot of adaptation happening from these players. So it's a learning opportunity. It's an opportunity for exposure, but it's also an opportunity to have fun, maybe make some money along the way.
Unfortunately, I wish we could be paid in exposure, but we can't. So the cash always kind of helps bridge that gap. But we're 2 rounds in. Let's take a look at our standings. I know the team that you mentioned, Nerdy, the Washington Timeless, up there, kind of just sitting above everybody else. We saw them earlier on our stream, and they looked absolutely insane. We have 5 undefeated teams left, and that'll go down just a little bit because it is a Swiss bracket. So the 2-0 teams will play the 2-0 teams, obviously, as possible. There is an odd number, so we'll see how many survive. And we've got number 2 and number 3, so we should have a good game on our hands. It's going to be Strix Blood taking on Valiant Guardians for this last game. So kind of a nice little ending to it, Nerdy. We get to see second and third place, the 2 teams who are right on Washington Timeless's heels, kind of battling it out to go into tomorrow at 3-0. This should be hopefully a drag out brawl between these 2 teams. Hopefully maybe we go 4 maps, right? It is technically a best of 3. We are going to go control, hybrid, flashpoint, but as you're saying, Fish, didn't you say 4 maps? Push is the tiebreaker, because you can tie on hybrid. So I'm rooting for a 4-map series. That's all I'm going to say. It's first team to win 2 maps wins. So I'm just saying I'm hoping for 4 maps. That's all I'm going to say.
I understand. It's just, if we go all the way to the 4 maps, I'm sorry to these players. I mean, yes, as casters, this is what we hope for. We want the last games of the day to always be the longest and the most fun.
I'm being selfish.
The caveat of that is that this is the last game of the day, and these players have been playing for a few hours at this point. Yeah. So best of luck to your mentals, your mental stamina. Hopefully you stood up and stretched, had some water if you needed to, and you have like a pet at the house, like a dog or a cat that gave you some love, because when you hit that point, it becomes emotionally breaking sometimes to be there and be like, I have been gaming competitively for almost 6 hours now. I need to lay down. But, you know, these players, they come to play to win. So they hopefully have buckled up and we're ready, because this is what they signed up for. And if we get our wish, we're going to go all the way to push, which is a love or hate it style map for many players.
I will say anybody but a Riptide and Demeter should throw a big shout out to them, because they bought you like 25-30 minutes having to play another map. So everybody else got that break. We'll have to see how it does here, as we do have our rosters ready for Valiant Guardians taking on Strix Blood here. We could take a look at that, starting with the Valiant Guardians. We've got HK, X10, Moving Fish 7, Haley, and Amori here in that support role. And meanwhile, Nerdy, what do we got for Strix Blood?
Well, for the Strix roster, we're going to show you their favorite heroes, of course, coming in on this next screen, but I will pull it up myself and let you know that they don't have as much depth to their roster as the other squad does, so hopefully everyone is feeling okay. But it's going to be Mari, Minnie, Saba, Scarlet, as well as AJMR. I apologize. I'm probably going to call you AJ just because there's a lot of syllables when you just have a name that is an abbreviation. So if I call you AJ, I apologize. They are one of the support players. We'll probably say their name quite a bit.
Yeah, with the way the supports have been playing today, I would expect a lot of call-outs for Scarlet, for AJMR, because it really has been a support-dominated day today. We talked about it in the intro. Overwatch is sort of leaning towards, they're not really supports, they're like DPS, and like one of their abilities does some healing. As we see here, it is going to be Ilios to start us out, Hybrid, and then Flashpoint if necessary. So far, everybody's picking Numbani for Hybrid. We'll have to see if these teams want to go elsewhere, but starting on Ilios, we'll have to see. We do get a new control map at least, 30, and I'm excited. Like I said, so far, the supports have been dominating. I love to see the supports popping off. We'll have to see if that is the case. And also, we get the second and third best teams of the day. We've seen the first best team. We kind of know going into tomorrow, at least on the stream, what the best teams look like, and that's always a great thing here as we get ready to hop in. And quickly, Nerdy, hit us with your breakdown for what we'll be expecting here in game number 1.
Okay, so Ilios, well, of course, you might anticipate seeing a Lucio decide to, I'm gonna age myself a little bit, be a little bit of a Reddit Lucio, and go for going on to Lighthouse and look to circumvent the front line of the enemy team and boot them into the well. Nowadays, people call it the TikTok Lucio gameplay. I don't. With that being said, that is one opportunity. You can run the composition I discussed earlier, which is that Untouchables, Wrecking Ball, Mercy, Echo, Kiriko, or Lucio Tracer composition. There is an opportunity to be running a Winston comp. You can also run the Orisa comps that we've been seeing here. It just relies heavily on understanding where you need to position first. Are you going to choose to lock down Cage, which is that room with the mini that you can see from our perspective here on the left side? Or we could see Dive. Now, Well is only one of the other ones. There is also Ruins, which is the map we are currently looking at here. I personally love to see the Tracer Sombra compositions come out on this map, because if you hack that Mega, it can really mess up a lot of teams that are trying to control that space. Plus, lots of opportunities for environmentals, not just from Lucio's, but from other players as well in those compositions. And then the last one that we do have is also Lighthouse, which, for some reason, I'm not going to say for some reason, you can run Symmetra on that one, and you lock it down and you turn it into just a death beam box. But if a team knows how to play around that, maybe that works for one fight. You get the point lock, you get the first 30%, but then there's a full comp swap. You're now suddenly dealing with Pharmacy and your Symmetra on point. All of your turrets are gone. Other team manages to come back and win it, but you got the first 30%. You made them swap comps. Now you swap comps. If you see them make that comp swap, you're like, okay, we're going to dump all our ults this fight, and then we're going to transition to a different composition, and this is Lighthouse, like I was just discussing. Again, lots of opportunities for environmentals. Ilios, I feel like, is the opportunity to, if someone makes a positional mistake, you can punish it very heavily, especially if it's around these coastline corners, and controlling center spaces, depending on your composition, can be your advantage, or going out into those center spaces gets you immediately killed based off your comps. So you'd better know your win condition and better know your positioning.
We get ready to hop in to our first map. Remember, it is first to 2. Both these teams come in undefeated. Valiant Guardians and Strix Bad Blood, second and third place in the standings, and coming from those points Nerdy was talking about earlier that have carried over from previous minors and previous majors. So these teams near the top, a win would go a long way, getting you a good playoff seed. So far, they start to battle it out. See X10 up on the high ground with the rest of the Valiant Guardian team. Meanwhile, Strix Bad Blood has taken that bottom side of the map. So far with the point unlocking, we get that first kill onto Prototype, and now they're going to lose Scarlet as well. The point unlocked, Strix is down 2, and this should be an early first fight win for the Guardians.
Diva rushes in, boops into that Torbjorn. Tracer goes, takes the duel. Immortality is forced, Beam is used. Echo gets dangerously low. Keith is confident in that duel, wins, but goes down to X10 shortly thereafter, and I think Bug decided to jump off the map just to make this reset a little bit easier. And if you're looking at these compositions, the side of Valiant, they're looking to gain and control space. They want to take fights in space, whereas the side of Strix wants to play from a distance. They're playing more of that spamming composition. You have the Sigma, but Diva, the go button basically is you see Sigma use that rock, well, now you're free to jump in. So hopefully the Sigma for the side of Strix starts making adjustments, recognizing what this Diva is looking for, not using cooldowns too early. Moving Fish did get hit by the rock, but will sustain as we see Pulse Bomb get drops and only take out a turret.
Oh, Moving Fish gonna lose the mech and go down shortly thereafter. We do see Mini go down. Prototype gonna pick up X10 as well. So despite the loss of a tank, the Valiant Guardians holding on quite well. Right now sitting at 55% and really climbing. Duplicate gonna come online and maybe we don't even get a chance to see the ult come out. Immediately that Duplicate is taken care of, but right now Strix Bad Blood just backing up. We do see Halo going to drop the ult. Can't quite pick up the 5k, but we see pick up 1, make it 2, and that's enough for the Guardians to just kind of move right along and keep mowing them down.
I mean, Halo, it wasn't just a two-piece, it was both of the supports for the side of Strix Bad Blood, and both your supports getting spent active spawn. Granted, it was a little bit late, so they even got staggered out, and then people such as Mini on that Torb had started to push forward thinking maybe I can help my supports get out. Mini got staggered too, so that is almost an entire 10 to 15% that now has to just be given over to the side of Valiant Guardians. We see an intro with D.Va self-destruct. It does force the immortality out. Amplification Matrix is used. X10 waiting patiently, tries to take this duel with the soldier. That healing pad is going to be the deciding factor a little bit to extend it, but ultimately X10, with the help of their teammates, manages to come out on top of that fight.
And X10 and Halo gonna combine to finish it up. X10 on to Mini, gonna pick up the kill. And with Prototype, really just the last one alive. Bug trying to get back onto the point, not quite able to. Will anyone get a toe on? No. And really, I mean, coming in, you had the second and third team. I know it's only a fraction of what we have to expect between them, but 100-0 was not how I expected this series to start it.
I agree with you, but I think truthfully this came down to the difference in the win conditions and the compositions. And we do see Bug deciding to make the adjustment, giving it up. Honestly, Sigma into D.Va when there is a lot of opportunity to control high grounds, take space by just dropping down without having to use cooldowns, and winning that first fight when you're in that dive comp into a spam comp. Making swaps sooner might have helped Strix at least equalize the playing field a bit more and last longer. However, they made swaps way too late. Now we do see almost an exact mirror coming out from both sides. Most likely, Mini and X10 will not be staying on these sims, and so just to get the initial TP out, X10, yes, going Tracer, and then Prototype actually going over to the Soldier 76.
Brief difference between the two comps. We'll see who can come out of a first. Valiant Guardians looking to go up with an early 1-0. We actually haven't seen a control go to map 3 so far on the stream. We'll see if this will be the first one as the control point ticks down and unlocks into 5 seconds. Early damage going out onto both teams as both Divas are a little bit low, though. Bug, very critical, dropping to about a quarter HP. Still trying to be healed up by the supports, but that HP bar is just not moving for the Strix Bad Blood tank. They're taking so much damage, and that mech is not long for this world. As immediately they'll be taken out. Mini will go down here as well, and early on, it's once again Valiant Guardians with a dominating kill to start. They get a couple of antis as well, and they'll win the first fight and take the point.
We do see Echo get dangerously low as well as anti, but just waits, bides their time, gets healed up after the anti, and we do see Keith unfortunately get staggered. It's the price you pay by being the Ana. You're playing long distance, so either you know you're first to die or last to die, so to speak, because people have to either close the gap to take care of you early on, or you're the one who was playing from the safe distance, and so therefore, if you don't get out early, you die last and force your team to wait a little bit longer. We are now at that essential tipping point. We're crossing into the 45% mark, where if this does not flip in favor of Strix Bad Blood, we will now enter last fight territory after this fight. And it looks like X10 is going to pick up a 2-piece, so most likely, yeah, we're about to enter the last fight territory for Bad Blood to try and claim this map.
Fortunately, Bad Blood doesn't just end there. You have 4 ultimates, and Moving Fish probably will pick up the 5th ultimate for Valiant Guardians before this next fight starts. Meanwhile, Bad Blood only going to have that Nano. He will have the Captive Sun soon, as that Nano is immediately going to go on to Bug, but Keith will fall over for 6 Bad Blood. Their other support, Scarlet, will go down as well, and I mean, this fight might as well not have happened, Nerdy, because it is just back to spawn for Strix Bad Blood.
Well, the good thing about how quickly that fight ended does mean that they have a chance to make it back and get a touch on point. They may need to make an adjustment, though. Prototype being the last, unfortunately, to die means they won't swap over to the Tracer. They've got 10 seconds now to make it in. It's all riding on Scarlet to get an early touch, or for Scarlet to taxi in their tank. We do see Bug goes dangerously low, gets antied, and we also have Captive Sun get popped. It's going to land to the Mei, who uses their Cryo Freeze to cleanse it. Halo tries to use their movement to possibly get a boop ability. It will boop someone off the map. Unfortunately, Halo goes down. X10 does find Prototype. Looks like, though, no tank for the side of Strix Bad Blood could mean the end of this round for them.
Moving Fish able to pick up one. Moving Fish makes it two. Do they have one more as they go for the touch? They don't even make it. And back-to-back 100 O's on control for Valiant Guardians. Really just a statement again. I mean, we came in, this is the second and third team. We're expecting a battle to the death, but I mean, this was just Valiant Guardians from minute one, and Halo with an unshocking support play of the game here. And as you pointed out when this happened, Nerdy, on to both supports, absolutely massive.
And, oh wait, apologies, it was a Soldier 76 and then a follow-up assist on the ARI, but nonetheless involved in taking out 3 players, 2 of them with the Captive Sun and 1 just an assist. But, I mean, we've had support play of the game and we've had tank play of the game. We're missing the DPS POTGs here, so hopefully one of the 4 DPS that we've seen will step it up a little bit just so we can round out the plays of the game going to each of the different subdivisions of hero types. But with that being said, Control, heavily dominated by Valiant Guardians. We're going to be moving into Hybrid. We've seen Numbani. Will we see something a little bit different?
I even think our bonus coverage game, even though we didn't see it, I think it showed, they played Numbani as well. So I would expect Numbani, but maybe we get to change up. And if you were betting at home and you picked anything but Numbani, unfortunately, the house always wins. So it is Numbani. Now the question is, will we get to see a forced game 3? Of course, we got Flashpoint in our bonus coverage. We didn't see how they got there, but so far it has been whoever wins Control just kind of says, all right, let's take care of business on Numbani. I think this would be, again, I mean, really a statement win if you're Valiant Guardians. I know Washington Timeless is in first place, but to beat the third team and kind of say it's us and Washington Timeless, everybody else is just kind of existing for third and lower, that would be a massive statement for Valiant Guardians, especially if they do it in the way they just did, because, I mean, Strix Bad Blood has captured a whole 0% so far in this game in round 3 of our Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2. It was all Valiant Guardians, as we'll see in the replays.
They could be playing with just a different lineup than they normally would have on some of these maps. You never know, life happens, things happen, but nonetheless, as you mentioned, Valiant Guardians, they're doing extremely well right now, unless I'm magically throwing out enough bad juju in my words to curse them, but I doubt it because, again, most of these teams extremely confident in their skill and gameplay to not even have to worry about any sort of caster curse happening. And I do think, just based off of what we've seen thus far from Valiant, the Numbani map pick plays heavily into what they want, and I'm not positive if Strix Bad Blood should have made this choice.
Yeah, it feels like it's one of those where potentially it's like, well, we're good on Numbani, and you don't even maybe realize maybe the other team's really also good on Numbani. I will say, though, if you are a Strix Bad Blood fan, Nerdy's usually good for 1 caster curse a stream. I apologize in advance, Nerdy, but you're usually good for 1, so maybe you hyping up Valiant Guardians was all Strix Bad Blood needs to make a comeback in this series.
That is true. Fish has been casting with me for an extended period of time, so yeah, he knows most of my bad habits, so perhaps you were right, and I did officially curse someone this series.
You came close. You nearly got our first series where you called the point that ended at 98%. So, obviously, again, I'm not to dog Strix Bad Blood, but just after that performance, I'm trying to say, okay, like, where do we turn things around? Because, I mean, it was just absolute bullying. And again, maybe it's just one of those we saw earlier with the meter where it feels like the meter is a team that was just better on payload maps. Maybe that's what Strix Bad Blood's calling is. Like, we really dominate payload maps. We'll do really well on hybrid, and we'll figure something out on Flashpoint because it does have that kind of unique control angle. So obviously, I do think Strix Bad Blood, I'm not saying they fluked their way to 2-0. They're not the third place team for a reason. If any team can turn it around, I would assume it's going to be them. But I did not come into the series expecting Valiant Guardians to be Valiant Guardians. Like, it's bedtime. Like, we just want to go to bed. Like, it's just everything. They just pulled out all the stops. Like, we just want to sleep. We want to get ready for tomorrow. So we'll have to see, because right now they look so good.
Well, the one thing I will say that Strix may bring to the table here on Numbani is we saw them roll out on the Sigma initially for well. Not normally the call we see a lot of teams make to roll out on the Sig, but you can run Sig on Numbani. We saw it earlier today in our previous matchup that we watched the full thing of, not our bonus matchup, that Sigma can be very powerful on Numbani when played properly. So there's a chance that this is their key to success, that Numbani is their turnaround point. There are teams that just historically really struggle on control point, So perhaps they anticipated not doing the best on control. They're just kind of treating it as, let's see what they can bring to the table, let's see their comfort, and then let's try and make the swaps necessary and adjustments necessary going into hybrid to come out on top.
Well, everything is on the table for Strix Bad Blood. They need to come away with a win on Numbani, or they will go into tomorrow 2-1, with Valiant Guardians being one of the few remaining undefeated teams. We came into round 3 with 5 undefeated teams. 2 or 3 will survive. We'll see which one of these two it will be. Is already some early damage coming out. Nothing too crazy, but a little, hey, how you doing? You don't get to run out of spawn for free from Valiant Guardians.
And for the side of Strix, mentioned it earlier, Bug might come out on that Sigma. Bug has chosen to use Sig. We have Keith and Scarlet going with a Baptiste and Iari combo, which is a lot of damage, but typically you don't play this all bunched up. And unfortunately, lots of cooldowns have already been forced. His survivability is limited now without that immortality. Anti's been used, and Mini goes down to Halo.
Strix almost about to lose Bugs as well. The Sigma barely able to be healed back up to full. Anti is going to land onto Prototype, though. Moving Fish actually going to lose the mech and their own lives. So now without a tank, Valiant Guardians has to defend down 1, now make it down 2 as Chicito is going to be taken out. And just like that, Strix Bad Blood, maybe one of our best opening fights we've seen on Numbani. Able to take early command, and they're just going to get the payload unlocked without much resistance after they got that kill on the tank.
D.Va takes a little bit of pepper damage, doesn't get D-Mech, backs off safely. Strix not quite close to any DPS ults, but those supports very close to theirs. Probably most looking to swing corner, using Amplification Matrix to lock down this entire roadway here and force the team back to bus. If you're looking at Valiant Guardians, X10 is close to that visor. We do have Captive Sun, as well as Nano Boost, Copy, all online. The only thing really lagging behind is D.Va. Moving Fish, sub 70% right now on that ultimate. Frontlining and is through a shield. Could you lose Toki? Toki goes down. Now it's an opportunity for the side of Strix to really dominate at this angle.
Strix is consistently on this map been able to find Moving Fish and take out that mech. As we'll see so far, we've only seen that Ant Matrix come down from Keith, already back to 35% as well. Here comes the Captive Sun from Halo as X10's going to find one. Chicito going to be taken out in return. Halo will pick up 1 with the ultimate. A slight number advantage to Valiant Guardians, but as I say, that Halo does go down, so 3-3. The Nano does come out onto X10. Does have the visor, but chooses not to use it with the Nano instead. Just going to pepper shots the old-fashioned way with the mouse, and able to do enough damage to force Strix back.
I mean, I don't think Prototype technically needed to use Visor on top of those. Apologies. I don't think X10 needed to use the Visor on top of the Nano. It was really just trying to buy some time for their team and hanging on to Visor for a pair with a second ultimate, or to equalize if your team goes down 1 is advantageous, especially because they're lagging behind a little bit in the ult economy. We do hear Visor get popped finally by X10 to engage on this fight. D.Va's running away. We've got an Anti on the back line. It was on Echo, who copies Iari, immediately deleted. Captive Sun comes out. Mini does find Ana. Self-destruct comes in, but Moving Fish, unfortunately, in Pilot gets deleted.
Oh, Scarlet thought they were barely going to hang on. They will get taken out by X10. Prototype going to get 1 back in the Soldier 76 battle. Bugs gets 1, and in this chaotic fight, it's still Strix Bad Blood who have kind of taken over on Numbani and given Valiant Guardians the same treatment, as they're undeterred and already moving on to point number 3 through all of those ultimates.
Really, I think I kind of called it earlier that Strix maybe just wasn't super confident on the control point, but knew that they just had to make it over to hybrid, which is the second map type, to be more successful. We see Moving Fish get rocked and immediately demech. The ability to follow up on that damage coming out from the DPS. Great opportunities produced by Strix. So they're now pushing forward, rounding the corner, looking to pick up these staggers. Prototype trying to run away, possibly get a flank angle in here to force some attention away from their front line.
Just Moving Fish is finally forced to swap over to Sigma. The Diva just was not staying alive. Bug threw out their ult. Here we see the Captive Sun from Halo. Are they going to be able to clutch it like we've seen earlier today? They do pick up the one. Moving Fish finds the second. The Scarlet does answer right back. Strix down to just their support. So they finally will be stopped in their run of tyranny. Just a mere 2 meters from going all the way without any casualties, or any real teamfight losses, I should say. But in the end, Valiant Guardians finds a way to stand tall at the last moment.
Halo stayed alive for quite some time on the point, but even if they did get staggered, it doesn't really matter when you have over 3 minutes left to cap that final couple meters. By the time they make it in for the last fight, this next fight, probably about 10 or 15. Holy cow, X10 doing what Hanzo does. That's the only thing you can really attribute that one to.
And as you were saying, there's still 2.5 minutes, or more than 2.5 minutes for Strix Bad Blood. So one pick doesn't set you back, but you do have to kind of start to figure out what your strategy is. You're in uncharted territory for Strix Bad Blood, at least on this map, because that was the first time they'd lost a team fight since minute 1. Early damage going out. There is the ult available for X10, and it is the Dragons will go flying through. Get a little bit of chip damage, but nothing more. And there is that Captive Sun for Scarlet, and that's what you gotta be careful of. We've seen so many pop off of that ult already today, and there's another one with a kill onto Halo. Fortunately, they're trading back and forth 2 for 2. Dragon Strike going to come out, and Chisato picks up 2, looking for a third and finds it. Maybe one more with the Dragon Strike, not quite able to. Eats a rock to the face. But Moving Fish has their back, and that's the first big Genji ult we've seen, and it was at the time that Valiant Guardians needed it most.
Okay, but it was also a Genji ult that required the nano, which I'm not trying to dog on people, but like, I've seen Genjis that are capable of popping off without the nano, but sometimes, especially just I feel like the way things are right now with these matchups, if you're gonna go for the Genji blade, you either do it knowing you're gonna die, but you're gonna try to force attention and cooldowns, or you do it because you have a nano and you're gonna absolutely demolish people and slice them like, you know, turn them into Swiss cheese, so to speak. Now, as we move into this next fight, my only concern is Valiant Guardians used a lot of ultimates during that last one. X10 is close to Dragons again. We could theoretically see a lift Dragons, but we have Mini already with Copy. They do take out prototypes, so Strix has to play a little more cautious, and they lose Keith as well. So despite the ult disparity, looks like Valiant Guardians are able to hold off Strix Bad Blood for another fight.
And all of a sudden, those 4 minutes are down to just 60 seconds now. This has been a great defense by Valiant Guardians. They didn't even have to use any ults in that last fight as well, so they're going to have a couple coming up. And Strix Bad Blood, they need to find a way to finally win a fight. They basically haven't won since that big push.
Their momentum was stopped in its tracks, and they're struggling to find footing yet again. They do come up on window, lift Copy, and very close to Visor for this next fight, but they're going to have to deal with a response most likely coming from X10 using this Dragon to split them off again. Look, yeah, X10's looking. Has that Sonic Arrow out, saw a couple. There's the lift. Here comes Captive Sun. Halo goes down. Genji goes down as well for the side of Valiant Guardians. That's not what they were expecting in that instance. But Halo's Captive Sun still manages to pick up Scarlet.
Fortunately, Prototype does get Moving Fish, and slowly but surely, Strix is pushing this payload. They have just a limited amount of time left. The Dragon Strike is still online. X10 trying to line up something huge, but they do get knocked just barely backwards. Kind of forces the Dragon to go just south of where they are aiming. Prototype going to pop the tack visor right now. Valiant Guardians just need to win this one fight, and it starts with a pick on the Mini and Prototype. Keith dropping incredibly low, so is Scarlet and Bug. Bug goes down. It's just the 2 supports left. There's 2 meters, 1 support. Can Keith be the hero? Unfortunately, Keith will not be able to find their way to the point. And Valiant Guardians, by the skin of their teeth, prevent a 3 cap and keep their hopes of sweeping here on Hybrid alive.
That payload is extremely close. You can see it here before it swaps over to the original position at the control point. How close it is to that final checkpoint. So some may say that basically they got all 3 points, but that little bit, those few meters of leeway that are going to be given over in favor of Valiant on this attack could be the make or break here for Strix to either win this and send us to Flashpoint, or for Valiant to 2-0 sweep this series.
As you said, they got as close as they could without capping, but that 1.5 meters, 1.8 meters, I think that they left is the difference between saying, well, worst we got is overtime, and worst we got is we're done for the evening and we're 2-1. So, by no stretch is Valiant Guardians work cut out for them, because you have to remember, Strix Bad Blood basically captured the payload, got all the way down to that 1.8 meters before losing a team fight. So Valiant Guardians is going to have to work quick. They're going to have to make sure that they win these team fights, because I don't know, where do you sit, Nerdy? Because it feels like all the momentum's on Valiant Guardians, but I feel like with Strix kind of fighting for their lives here in round 3 might kind of give them that last edge they need. But where do you sit as we get ready to kick off this second round here on New Bonnie?
Honestly, I think this is definitely, and I'm sorry to say this, but Moving Fish needs to prioritize surviving and understand, and like the calls of their team, knowing what cooldowns are available for Strix Bad Blood in these engages to make sure that Toki, Moving Fish's mech, does not get deleted early on when they first do these dives. Otherwise, their team is without a front line. A Pilot Diva, you do a lot of damage, but you have very little survivability in those instances. We do see Scarlet get dangerously low. Pylon's already destroyed. And they're trying to just sweep over towards Coastline Pole and make these angles happen. Scarlet goes down for Strix Bad Blood early on, and that is going to open up the window for Valiant Guardians. But X10 goes down to Keith. Halo finds Prototype, so support's coming in clutch to play cleanup crew and sustain for their team.
Oh, Keith going to punch down by Moving Fish. That's a huge pick, because Scarlet's still running back. So Mini able to take out this Diva, as you said, Nerdy. Moving Fish just has not been able to stay alive and stay with that mech for a lot of this map. It's a big reason why Strix had such a good start, and it wasn't until they swapped to the Sigma that Valiant Guardians found those wins, and all those early plays for nothing as they got nothing out of it, and Chisato actually going to get taken out. That's going to stagger Valiant Guardians when they least need it.
And it looks like Captive Sun as well as Nano very close to Dragons. For the side of Valiant Guardians, we've seen X10 not really find picks, but Halo unfortunately is going to go down very early. We've seen X10 not necessarily get picks with these Dragons, but more use them as a facilitator for the rest of the Valiant Guardians squad. It's great to split people down in response to another ultimate to prevent pressure being put on your team. Hopefully X10 is able to use this to put people in a position that allow either Moving Fish or Halo to follow up and play and find the eliminations necessary from the lack of positioning that'll be created using those Dragons.
3 ults aside, and Shisato's going to pick off Scarlet. You do have that Captive Sun, as the Nano is going to go out onto Moving Fish. Critic Flux comes out from Bugs, but not able to find a kill as Keith will fall. Mini trades one back into X10, and Duplicate goes off onto the Diva, trying to build a self-destruct to create some space, and they're going to be able to get it. And there comes a self-destruct, followed by Moving Fish's self-destruct as well. And while they're D-mech, Bugs gets a fantastic melee kill that once again might kill all of the momentum the Valiant Guardians had pushing on to this point after that early support pick.
Moving Fish going to make that Sigma swap. Here's the follow-up Echo copy. I was wondering when Chisato was going to choose to pop it, uses it to do the Baptiste opportunity to get damage and possibly Amp Matrix, but is in a 3-on-1. Dragon's forcing Prototype off high ground. Proto does have the opportunity to use this attack visor, possibly to help their team re-engage. However, that soldier visor from low ground, a little bit more difficult to utilize. We do see Mini go down and Bug go down. Moving Fish and Halo finding eliminations for their team.
It does look like with those eliminations, especially on the Prototype, who I think was looking for a flank onto the payload and nearly caught Halo looking the wrong direction. Valiant Guardians will be able to capture the point, go back to that 3-minute time period, not nearly as much as Strix had, but still enough to keep pushing, and Scarlet getting picked off doesn't really mean a whole lot, unfortunately, because the payload is so far behind the rest of the team.
We do see Moving Fish choosing to stay in a very forward position as a Sigma. Okay, backing up. I thought they were going to go all the way up to that doorway, and I was like, okay, what's the plan here? But we do see that for the side of Valiant Guardians, they're going into this relying on support ults, predominantly that Nano and Captive Sun. Halo has been very, very domineering with this Captive Sun ultimate. It's online. They are notorious for picking up multiple kills with the Ciari. We'll see what happens. We do have the response one from Scarlet, which could be in conjunction with Bugs' Graphitic Flux, so I'll have to wait and see.
There is that nanoed Captive Sun coming out from Halo. They're going to be able to pick up Scarlet as well as X10 picking up a kill. Means that it's basically a free second point for Valiant Guardians. Only Keith left alive on the point, and they'll pick it up. So now it comes down to this dirty. Valiant Guardians going to have 3 minutes and 25 seconds to go 70.83 meters to move to 3-0. Can Strix Bad Blood form the same defense that Valiant Guardians did just moments ago?
Well, Moving Fish is poking down Bug very heavily. X10 sweeps through the left side, picks up a two-piece. I mean, we saw Strix Bad Blood get to this point with 5 minutes on the clock. Valiant Guardian, they had a little over 3 minutes. The lift comes out. The lift does pick up 3 others, and now it is stagger game because this payload has not stopped pushing. There's been 1 to 2 people on it throughout this entire fight, and Strix unfortunately got super staggered because of that 2-piece followed up by the 3-piece that was spaced out perfectly.
Good news for Strix, at least, is just now the payload has kind of entered that danger territory, so none of those deaths too costly. Still 2 minutes and 27 seconds on the clock for Valiant Guardian. But as you said, Dirty, Strix got here with 5 minutes and couldn't quite get the job done. Mini and Prototype already taking a ton of damage. Here comes this Captive Sun. It's been such a powerful ultimate all day, and it does not disappoint here as X10 goes down. Prototype able to pick up Halo. Moving Fish does answer back, but this looks like a team fight win for Strix. And they'll force Valiant Guardians back, but that was their big ultimate out of the way, and nothing else is close besides the visor.
The Doomfist swap working out for Bug. I don't know how long Bug plans to stay on Doomfist. We do see walks in spawn, swaps over to Sigma. Understandable, used it to stall. It's one of the 2 you typically go with, is Sigma or Ball. Well, Doomfist or Ball. Makes sense. X10, another Dragons. We have a Dragon Blade online. We have Nano online. We have Captive Sun online. All in favor of Valiant Guardian. Strix Bad Blood coming in with almost nothing, relying on this visor at the perfect moment to help their team be successful in this fight and keep their opportunities for success alive. We have a massive anti onto the back lane, and 2 go down to the Dragon Blade. It is just Bug left standing on this point.
Yeah, as you said, the cheaper blade, as it did require a nano, but absolutely took over, and Valiant Guardians with the 2-0 of Strix Bad Blood to move to 3-0 on our first day here. Of course, there's 2 more games tomorrow in the Swiss, but what a dominant performance, and kind of put the rest of the bracket on notice that, Valiant Guardians has to be considered one of the top teams up there with Washington Timeless with the way they dismantled Strix Bad Blood in this one.
No arguments for me on that front. And just to clarify, I'm not dogging on the Nano Blade. I just think that if you know Nano Blade is a win condition, you need to adapt and be aware of that win condition and make adjustments. You need to have something in your pocket to make sure you can counter it. And unfortunately, that Nano Blade went unanswered, and so it was kind of a free for all for that nanoed Genji. Love to see it. If you're on the receiving end of it, it's kind of painful. Hopefully, we are able to see teams work around it rather than playing into the favor of the enemy team going forward. But with that being said, Valiant Guardians, they popped off. Nicely done.
Yeah, I mean, you already guarantee you going tomorrow is one of 2 or 3 undefeated teams, and you just did it in such a dominant way. I mean, I had this pegged, as I said, a joke, a 4-map game, maybe even a 3-map at the minimum, but just absolute domination. Did come a little sketchy on New Bonnie. I definitely feel like, as we talked about, Strix, one of those teams maybe dominates on the hybrid, but the fact that Valiant Guardians, I don't even think the attack and these replays are all that impressive. I think what to me was impressive, Nerdy, was the 5-minute defense. What you can see there, 0.97 meters left between a 3 cap for Strix, and they did it for 5 minutes without blinking an eye.
It's probably a player capable of saying, hey, it's not GG until we hit the end screen, because sometimes teams, you see them give up a little bit. There is no swap to try and get out there and touch the payload. There's no one even trying to touch the payload when it's that close. They're just like, it's over. I give up. Everyone kept going for Valiant Guardians. It paid off, especially, yeah, you can see it right there, 2.13 meters. Dangerously close to that finish line for the side of Strix Bad Blood. So Valiant, they didn't give up. They kept the positive mental attitudes going, most likely, and they were able to be very successful. Strix Bad Blood, though, they did also show up. They did a great job on attack. hopefully tomorrow they find a little bit more success, as they're going to be going against teams most likely that are similar in current overall standing to themselves, or possibly lower, because this is, Swiss format. We'll have to wait and see. We can only wish them luck, but right now, Valiant Guardians, interested to see what you bring to the table tomorrow.
Yeah, it should be exciting depending on who else is undefeated. Maybe we get a round 4 Valiant Guardians versus Washington Timeless. Just based on the teams we've seen, I think those two kind of stand above the rest. It'd be very interesting to see how that one goes if they play tomorrow. Both those teams looking very strong. I think, as you said, though, Strix Bad Blood, if they're able to figure out maybe their control woes, again, 100 0'd back-to-back by Valiant Guardians, if they're able to figure out control, this is a very, very scary team heading into tomorrow, heading into the playoffs, already at 2-1, so sitting in a very good spot. So, again, it's been an absolutely fantastic day here in the Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2 Dirty, and I cannot wait to see what goes for tomorrow, because remember, at the end of tomorrow, the top 8 teams come back next weekend for a chance at that $5,000 cash pool and some of those points we were talking about earlier that are maybe, as you even argued, more important than the cash prize.
I mean, in the long run, yeah, the points are extremely important. I almost had a New Jersey accent for a moment. I'm not from New Jersey. But nonetheless, you mentioned it, there's 2 days for this intro period, so to speak. All of these teams still have to play tomorrow. They have to play to their strengths. Hopefully no one is so crestfallen based off of their performance today that they don't come back tomorrow. At the end of the day, it is still a massive learning opportunity for everyone involved. But I do believe we're going to be able to take a quick break here before we continue with an interview from one of the Valiant Guardian players, possibly.
We'll have to see. As 30 said, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and kind of put a bow on day 1 of our Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2, maybe with an interview from Valiant Guardians, our 2-0 winners here in round 3, right after this. Welcome back to the Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2. Just wrapped up our Swiss third round between Valiant Guardians and Strix Bad Blood. Fish and Nerdy still here and joined by another Fish, Moving Fish 7, the tank for Valiant Guardians. Hey, anytime a Fish can win, I'm already excited. And you guys did a lot of winning Moving Fish, 3-0 today. How do you guys feel going undefeated on that first day in Swiss play?
I mean, we came into here feeling pretty strong already, so we kind of, I'm not going to say expected, but we were feeling pretty good about ourselves, and yeah, I mean, we got the results we wanted, and it's always great seeing our fellow Fish as well.
Let's go!
All right, so you say you came in feeling pretty good, but are there any teams that you're kind of a little hesitant about the matchup or worried or feel like it's going to be a really tough game in comparison to what you've experienced so far? Like, are there any of those teams out there for you that kind of are your Goliath to your David?
Oh yeah, for sure. One of them is like Timeless. I think they're really good and they play really well together. And it's always good screaming them as well. It's always really close. So I think it'll definitely be a really good match once it comes up eventually.
Well, I look forward to seeing that matchup.
Yeah, maybe get it tomorrow. We'll have to see it. Well, one more question for you, Moving Fish. Kind of walk me through Numbani for your team, because I mean, absolutely dominated control. 100-0, 100-0. It seemed like this was made in the bag, and then all of a sudden, Strix kind of comes in. They get the payload. They're pushing. They get down to like 0.9 or something meters left. Was there any panic in the team? Was there any like, oh, this could be going to game 3, or was it just like, all we got to do is win one fight, and we're never going to lose another one? Because that's exactly what you guys did.
I mean, our environment's pretty much like no tilt, like just always focus on next fight. So it's basically, I mean, I had some conflict within myself. I'm like, oh man, like I've been playing this Devo comp in this map this entire time, and it's like now I'm kind of struggling. So then I switched to the Sig. It was a lot easier. And I was also like, man, we can't lose. I gotta do this for Valiant, you know? It would look real bad. It's gotta happen.
Well, you got it done. Go celebrate the win, Moving Fish. You and your team move on to 3-0 and maybe a date with Washington Timeless tomorrow. I don't know how it looks yet, but I'm excited to see that matchup one way or another. Congratulations to you and your team going 3-0 on our first day here on the Swiss Games.
Yep. And happy birthday, CJ.
CJ, wherever you are, big shout out. I hope you're having a great birthday. I hope they're on Valiant, Nerdy, because that's a great way to have a birthday, right? You go 3-0. There you go.
Wait,
Moving
yeah,
Fish,
so Moving Fish, CJ's on your team, right?
He's on the main team.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, there we go. All right,
Yeah.
well, happy birthday.
CJ. Big
Celebrate
shout-out.
your win. Don't over-celebrate in case you have to play tomorrow. Don't over-celebrate. What?
Thank you
Think it
again,
that way.
Moving Fish, for joining us, though. And because, also, Nerdy, we're not done yet. We promised 3 rounds,
Oh,
but we've lied.
oh yeah.
Oh.
Because we have more bonus coverage coming. We're going to hop right into our next game. I believe Team Yippee is playing here, Nerdy, and we're going to Flashpoint once again. We only get Flashpoint in our bonus coverage games, Nerdy. We never get to see it on
Yes,
stream.
we
We only
do.
get bonus coverage. So, back to New Junks. Again, another new body. They just love new bodies so much here, Nerdy. But we get back to New Junk City. Again, we're going to see 2 new teams on the stream, and, you know, what a way to end with Flashpoint. So, I don't know how you top Flashpoint 5, 99-99. There's like a lot of pressure on these teams, I feel like, to kind of end the stream on a strong note.
Okay, so theoretically speaking, if these teams somehow tied on hybrid, you could top Flashpoint by sending us to push. That's all I'm saying. But
True.
I'm pretty sure this is the deciding factor between these 2 teams again. So hopefully it is, yes, it is 1-1. So hopefully we get the full 5 points on Flashpoint. I love to see it. And I'm pretty sure we're probably going to see borderline the same compositions we saw in the last Flashpoint, which is a Risa-centric compositions, most likely using a Lucio. I love to see me some Bastion gameplay, so if I see some Bastions popping off, that'd be great. But if people get creative and start, you know, playing more to their strengths rather than being meta slaves, that is also fine as well. Best of luck, Shikikami, as well as Team Yippee.
Here we go. New Junk City. Team Yippee and Shikikami trying to end the night on a win. Go into tomorrow. Heads held high. Knowing they're one step closer to that top 8. Remember, the top 8 from our Swiss games at the end of tomorrow will qualify for next weekend's playoffs, where I mean, everybody gets points, I believe, from what I saw on the graphic, but more points are on the line, and of course, some of that cash prize as well through first through fourth. So we'll have to see. I mean, you said you like Bastions popping off, Nerdy. Last time we had like an epic Bastion duel between Nari and Ilix where they were basically trading kills. As I'm hyping it up, however, we see the team comps and we see that there are no Bastions, at least for now.
There are no Bastions, and we have Kayla from Team Yippee rolling out on the Moira. We've not seen that pick thus far, at least on broadcast, for Calling All Heroes during this minor. No Moiras so far. So, Kayla, I hope to see you pop off on Moira. I know there are fellow Moira enjoyers that are watching. Do everyone who plays Moira a favor and be the absolute most disgusting damage Moira we have ever seen.
Well, the point unlocks early, and Shigakami will take control first. So far, no eliminations for either team. Really, no health bars low at all. As I say that, though, I jinx Megatron. They go down. Harley Quinn picking up a kill. Unlucky Main will fall, so supports down on each side. Kayla barely hanging on. And the Moira goes down, but it's a trade of supports. Both supports dead on each side, with Wi-Fi going down as well. Not a lot of healing going to be available, and it's so far Shigakami just building up this percentage, now up above 40%. As Chuck E. Cheese goes down, and in an all-out scrappy fight, Shigakami barely comes out on top in a huge way, though. They're already at 50% after the first fight ends.
Harley Quinn can get back rather quickly for Team Yippee, and with Kayla as well as Unlucky Main dying so fast for Team Yippee, their frontline force is going to be more sustainable, at least during the early stages of this engage, than Team Shikigami, who's already decided to back off, recognizing that issue. Coalescence is going to come out from Kayla. They end up finding Megatron, but the Moira Coalescence only finds that one elimination and is used to sustain the team for the rest of it. Wi-Fi goes down a little bit late, and I believe Shikigami is going to have to reset this one.
Plenty of time for Shigakami, as they already got up to 89%. They can afford the reset. They also have the only two ultimates, as Mercedes even gets a pick onto Harley Quinn. That's just going to set them back even further. There is a sound barrier nearly up for Unlucky Main, though Tide might also be very close as well. Here comes the visor, just ripped right away. Sound barrier going to come out, but they got the pick and they turn around. Kayla goes down, Mercedes will fall, so it's a 1-for-1. Shigakami also importantly gets control of the point, and now dangerously close to getting to 99%, forcing overtime, and they do.
We're coming up on this rampage, but there's a Terra Surge first, and Terra with the Terra Surge gets eliminated by the Lucio Baptiste with a little help from JQ. Unlucky Main also finds Wi-Fi. Unlucky goes down shortly thereafter to the axe from Chuck E. Cheese. Megatron picking up two. Chuck E. Cheese finding another. And it looks like that's going to be a point lock over to Shikigami.
See if Shigakami can end up winning in our first Flashpoint game. Riptide won the first point and traded Flashpoints for out. Remember, it is 5 Flashpoints on the map. First to 3 captured Flashpoints wins. Right now, Shikigami ahead in the game as they rotate over. Still 15 seconds before this one unlocks, and a couple of ultimates up on both sides. 2 DPS ults for Team Yippee, while Shikigami does have that sound barrier, which, if Tide can avoid being EMP'd, will be massive for his team.
Possibly early pick onto Wi-Fi. It is Sunshine's going to melee, but the follow-up from Mercedes deletes the Sunshine, so both teams are equal. Trying to put a leg up, EMP is dropped, followed by the beat drop for sustain for Shikigami. The issue with EMP is, while it's an annoying ultimate, in a lot of cases, you either need to have a very, very short distance between you and the enemy team to immediately pick off a squishy, or you need another ult in conjunction with that EMP to find a lot of success with it. Just dropping EMP to engage, very difficult to capitalize off of.
The EMP unfortunately didn't even hit the Lucio either, so the sound barrier just immediately countered it. Terra able to pick up a kill onto Mercedes, so Team Yippee at least getting picks across the map. Unfortunately, Flashpoint is already at 40% and climbing for Shigakami as they look to get a pick potentially onto Kayla. Sunshine dropping low as well as they drop the pulse bomb, but they are the first elimination. Kayla and Unlucky Main both able to survive for now as Megatron does go down, but there's the support trade as Kayla will fall. The tank battle does go in Terra's favor, so little wins across the map here, Nerdy, for Team Yippee, but the problem is that percent on the Flashpoint is just going higher and higher in Shigakami's favor.
most likely this is Team Yippee saying, okay, that we're not even going to try to approach that point. If you got a 50-50 shot out of your spawn, which side the flashpoint's going to rotate to next, so possibly they've started the migration process, and we're hopefully betting it all on the right location. They did. They're going to be the first ones there onto the next flashpoint. However, we need to point out, Terra has decided to swap off that Orisa in favor of the Winston. The Winston with the Tracer Sombra is the more common composition that we do see than the Orisa variation of it. I just feel like there wasn't enough follow-up damage for those flankers to A, be able to find value and live, because when they went in, they got deleted. Now we do hear Beat get dropped, as well as the Amplification Matrix, and it looks like Shikigami is going to struggle a little bit, but able to find a footing, taking out both DPS for the side of Team Yippee.
They're also going to bring down Terra. Unlucky Main will go down as well. Kayla just survives long enough to avoid the team kill, but not much longer than that. So once again, Shikigami finds themselves in a familiar spot, first onto the point, and well on their way already to maybe claiming this flashpoint at a 3-0 win.
Sunshine with Pulse Bomb, looking for a target. Has Sombra as well. Possibly. Oh, okay, so we have the Kiriko swap from Megatron. They get hacked, they Suzu, then they get, unfortunately, Pulse Bombed. We hear a follow-up Pulse Bomb that does not find anyone from Wi-Fi. Now we have a Tracer versus Tracer fight. Whoever recalls first, most likely to be unsuccessful, but instead Wi-Fi is going to take a fist to the face, ends up getting eliminated. Mercedes goes down, Tide goes down as well, Kayla goes down, Chuck E. Cheese is going to go down as well for Shikigami, and finally Team Yippee with percent on this flashpoint.
Hopefully for Team Yippee, they can kind of change how this map has gone, because this has been the style. Shikigami gets in, gets 60 to 70%. Team Yippee forces them off, but then one fight and it's over just because of the length you have to run back, because of how well Shikigami is getting picks. So it's up to Team Yippee to survive. They do have a pair of ultimates in that EMP, so we get that EMP sound barrier battle once again. Round one went to the Lucio. Who round two go to is going to be the question. Megatron dropping low. Primal Rage going to be popped immediately by Terra. Well off the point, now trying to retreat back as it does get up to that 64%. Team Yippee does take advantage. Sunshine gonna get the first elimination. This could be huge for getting their first flashpoint of this map for Team Yippee. Terra gonna pick up one more. Shikigami now just running out of resources. With only 3 members left in the area of the flashpoint. Wi-Fi does pick up a single kill. Unlucky Main dropping low. With the enemy Lucio going down, this looks like Team Yippee should be able to hold on to this flashpoint.
That was also a Lucio Ajax in mid-beat animation. They get hacked and eliminated. That's always very tragic to experience. Team Yippee is leading in percentage, but now can they hang on to this? They used B to sustain through this for the staggers that are coming in from Team Shikigami to try and maintain this point control. Pulse Bomb from Sunshine is online. Will they find a stick? They do not, and they do not pick anyone up with it. Wi-Fi goes down. Looks like Shikigami might be able to claim this. You forecasted it.
They just gotta hold on. We get another 99-99 battle, but as we go towards Team Shikigami, it's 2 picks for Team Yippee. Make it 3 now with Harley Quinn getting 1 onto Mercedes. Unless Chuck E. Cheese or Wi-Fi has a massive play in their arsenal, it is going to be going to Flashpoint 4 as at 99-99, Team Yippee extends this round and extends Flashpoint. So they head to number 4, hoping to maybe get us to Flashpoint 5.
We're going to have that Soldier Visor plus Kitsune Rush combo for Team Shikigami online. It's a deadly combination for sure, but if not placed properly, the other team's just like, oh, imagine if I just walk away, and they can sustain through it with that mentality in mind. However, for Team Yippee, we have that Nano Boost, which is used early on a Winston that took a quick nap. It's now going to try and just eliminate Mercedes. Mercedes goes down, so there goes that initial combination I was discussing. Kitsune Rush is going to be coined to try and equalize. Kayla and Unlucky Main both go down for Team Yippee. Both support's gone. Terra has to use Primal Rage to help sustain, keep himself alive throughout this fight on this Winston. Managed to get one off the map, but Switch Step came in clutch. However, Megatron still got stomped on by the Winston.
Mercedes does find a pick, coming all the way back from being the first eliminated in that fight, and Much like the last 3 flashpoints, the first early percentage go to Shikigami. We'll see if this time they're able to hold on. As Team UP slowly starts to make their way back, there's still that tac visor available as well as the pulse bomb. Unfortunately for Team UP, they're still a little bit away from both of their DPS ults and not really close on anything else. We'll see how quickly Unlucky Main can try and build that sound barrier with the enemy Lucio already at 90% and the flashpoint already nearing that 45% mark.
We gotta keep in mind, however, last time Lucio from Shikigami tried to use their sound barrier, they were hacked and then instantaneously deleted. So this is opportunity for redemption, gets antied, we see Pulse Bomb go off, Megatron goes down, Harley Quinn goes down, so equalize as far as power on the field. We hear Visor get popped to try and give a leg ahead for the side of Shikigami. They find one elimination, Kayla, Terra find one apiece, Terra finds another. Looks like Team UP is gonna hang on a bit more.
And maybe even more important, as they do flip it at 95%, the sound barrier for Shikigami was used, so there won't be that sound barrier to answer the EMP this time for Harley Quinn. Potentially could be the difference maker, but there's still a long way to go for Team UP, just now hitting that 20% mark after going to hold on for maybe 2 fights on Flashpoint 4. Again, this is Swiss Round 3. We're calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2. Final game of the day for both these teams, each looking to pick up a win. Right now, the fight is going to kick off. There's that EMP going to land on to 2. Though both members will survive, and it's actually Kayla and Unlucky Main who are dropping the lowest. Kayla's going to be taken out by the ult from Chuck E. Cheese. Chuck E. Cheese is going to add another kill, make it 3 for Chuck E. Cheese, and that could spell doom for Team UP.
Winston has to get a leg on this point. Manages to do so, but is there anyone else to follow up? I don't think so. And with that, Team Shikigami, well, Shikigami is going to walk away with a victory for our final series of the day.
And it just felt like Team UP, unfortunately, was just an uphill battle. Every flashpoint at the start, every first flashpoint battle was going Shikigami's way. And this final one goes as well with a great play from Chuck E. Cheese. Picks up the support and says, you know what? I'll just take out the other support as well. Now there's no healing for your team. And at that point, there was really not a lot the Team UP could do.
But there is always, you know, more opportunities to keep playing. Most likely, they are going to still be playing tomorrow. The Swiss round is not over. Whether or not they make it to the next weekend, honestly, is up to them and their ability to outperform the teams they go against. But with that being said, congratulations nonetheless. Both the teams finished out today 1-1. It's nothing to scoff at considering the level of competition that we've been able to showcase thus far on broadcast. I think everyone did a fabulous job today, and I'm excited to see what they bring to the table tomorrow and the weekend after that.
Yeah, tomorrow is really where the money is going to be made, at least qualifying for playoffs, right? You could come back from a bad start. You could fall apart from a good start, even, as we take a look at some of these replays from our bonus coverage with Team UP and Shikigami. And as you said, Nerdy, I think both these teams do some VOD reviews, maybe prep for your teams as best you can if they were on the stream. I think easily next weekend we could see either of these teams in the playoffs. As we said, top 8 qualify, and you've still got multiple Swiss games tomorrow to kind of make a comeback if you had a bad start, or cement your spot in the playoffs if you started off well, like we saw some of our teams going 3-0 on the day. So still a lot of Overwatch left to be played tomorrow.
Most definitely. And also, as the day progressed, we got to see a lot of teams make swaps faster when they realized things weren't working for their team or were going directly up against a counter composition. And hopefully the trend continues. We see those counter swaps come into play faster earlier on, and teams play more and more to their own strengths and the weaknesses of the enemy comp to be more successful. These Flashpoint games have been very exciting. Hopefully tomorrow and next weekend we see Servasa over New Junk City, and maybe we don't see as much Numbani, but that of course is just a request, not a demand.
And I think the other thing that some of the teams that especially some of the teams we've seen on stream, that they have the chance to do tonight, Nerdy, is it feels like some of these teams, you know, really, as we talked about, you know, unfortunately and not intended, punished by the fact that Escort left off the map pool. I feel like we've seen a couple teams who have taken losses who just feel like the better payload team. So how do we win on Control? How do we win on Flashpoint? Definitely got to be some of those things that teams go over here as well. And again, it looked like Team UP maybe was going to make a comeback, but at the end of the day, they fall just a little bit short. But as Dirty said, all of tomorrow still left. And I'm excited to see tomorrow how they're going to be. I'm excited to see who will be alive when we are broadcasting. Of course, we will not be here tomorrow, but we'll be back next weekend with the playoffs. And again, that's when the real, money is going to be there. And I think that's when we'll see the Spaster swaps, this 3 series game, maybe even the 4 series games. I'm holding out hope we get 1 4 series game because we do have a tiebreaker in there in case somehow hybrid ties. But fortunately, we weren't lucky enough today. I'm holding out hope. I'm crossing my fingers.
And while we're on the topic of who's going to make it into playoffs, because of course there's still tomorrow, we can take a quick look at the standings to see who is putting themselves closer and closer to that goal of reaching playoffs, and take a look at our top teams. As you can see, Valiant Guardians, I think it might be something to do with just partial map differential, point differential, but they are 2nd place, the Valiant Guardians, which is interesting. Washington Timeless dropped down to the 4th place, having lost out on 1 map. Very interesting. And then Azathoth is a team that we've not really been able to look at, nor see, have moved up to that 3rd place spot. Interesting. Some things happened off stream. What a shame for us not to be able to catch all the action.
I think the big one that stood out to me, of course, is Washington Timeless, the team that, we heard from Valiant Guardians Tank. That was the team that they wanted to see. That was the team that they were excited to play. They're now 2-1. They've kind of dropped off from that undefeated pool. So cannot wait to see what tomorrow has in store. Again, I believe the top 8 teams, so the teams on that left side, will qualify when tomorrow is said and done. So still quite a lot of games left to be played in our Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2. Fortunately, Nerdy and I will not be here tomorrow. You'll have 2 fantastic casters, though. We'll be back next weekend for the playoffs. And Nerdy, your final thoughts on the first day of Swiss games here in the Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2.
Honestly, I think understanding swapping and making sure you're swapping when you're not getting value, even if supposedly you should be more successful than the enemy, if you're not finding that success, don't be afraid to make that swap. When we were talking to Moving Fish even mentioned, I've been on this diva for quite some time now. I need to swap. Finally got the swap in. Team started being more successful on that new body map. Additionally, for tanks, just listen to your supports. If your supports are crying and asking you to fall back, don't take that as okay, this is a fair fight. I'm going to go in 1v5 them out of line of sight of my supports. I understand that is the job of the tank, is to chronically LOS your supports, but make sure you're listening to your supports. And of course, supports keep popping off. Hopefully we see some more POTGs coming out from supports, and hopefully some love is given over to the DPS and the game decides to give them some plays of the games tomorrow as well.
I think our DPS shut out today in plays of the game, but that will do it for us. Again, we have more Swiss games tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss that. Sneaky and Tiny Shiny will have all of your coverage. Make sure you come back tomorrow, same time as today, for the end of the Swiss bracket for the Calling All Heroes Unite Minor 2. Nerdy and myself will be back next weekend with the playoffs. You will not want to miss it. There's still a ton more coming, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.